There you have it. We went with the little Star Wars intro there this evening. Welcome along to the Left Wing Back Show. Yes, folks, welcome along. It is the Left Wing Back Show, and it is in association with Corcoran Precast Tanks, as always. And while we're on the topic of it now, we're at the last hurling show of the year, of course, and we just want to say a special thanks to Corcoran Precast Tanks. They come on board and give us great support throughout the entire championships. But don't forget, it doesn't just end there. They are offering a 10% discount off all wastewater treatment systems from now until Friday. And in order to avail that, you simply mention the left wing back when you're talking to the sales team there. And again, we are so grateful for their kind support, and all that stuff really does matter because a lot of time has gone into this, a lot of effort has gone into it, and I'm so grateful to my two guests. I don't like giving them praise, but I suppose it may seem as it's the last hurling show. Joe Nolan, Steve Bamrick, how's things, lads?
Good, Kevin. All good.
Well, Kevin. Well, Joe.
How are you, Stevie?
All right. Nervous now for Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Thursday? Are you getting the results or something?
There's something on, is there? Hey, listen
here. Stevie, you'd certainly be nervous after seeing that video circulating the rounds there. We're heading into dangerous territory on Thursday, lad. Me and you.
Possibly.
Am I in it now?
Yeah, Jenny. That was nasty enough, all right. Actually, it was funny because obviously on Saturday we're at the Intermediate Hurling Championship final, which obviously was a victory for Naomh Bríd, and well done, Stevie. Great to see Naomh Bríd back up senior. But in doing so, we missed out on Collection versus Arlasclean, the football championship, and the soon-to-be brother-in-law made the championship debut, which was I was kind of annoying to miss that. You would have liked to have been there, but then 20 minutes there, you really would have liked to have been there because it was murders, absolute murders. Not something you endorse, but like when you're there, like you'd be sure it's like it's a bit of entertainment, I suppose. Let's be honest about it, like and everyone talks about it afterwards and stuff. So, Saturday was a funny kind of an evening. But Stevie, are you just in from the pub or what's the crack? Are you still after having a few pints, or when did the celebration stop?
No.
You're not going to tell the truth anyway,
I presume to stop yesterday. I don't know. The final on Saturdays. No, exactly. Definitely not. We have a heavy week ahead of us. No, sure. If there's a final on Sunday, lads will they'll join the Monday club. But the gas thing about it is when you're in a pub of a Monday after county final, there's lads in the pub on a Monday that are there on the Monday when there's no county final on as well. So that's the funny side of that. But sure, lads had a few pints yesterday. It's fairness to the boys now, they're back football. It's a lower back trend tonight or tomorrow night, and look, it's great to win. Like it's back to. I think they're playing the football now. They have to concentrate. Like the Loughlin lads are all Loughlin, Ballinarrannet and Ryan. There's 4 clubs involved with us at the moment, and two of them are heading to Meath on another Friday night in Dr. Cullen. So that's gas the other night. Like, the boys were having a good bit of banter about it actually. So I suppose that'll be forgot about the minute to set foot in Park Liam Dobber.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be
Park Malesha this evening. We'll be back to square one and lock.
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't start cutting out on us though. We were just saying off air before we started, folks, that one of the success stories of the podcast, during the Hurling Championship was the fact that Stevie got a settled location, found an internet connection. We can see him and we can hear him, so we don't want that to change. Now, Joe was late before he came on air, but
Joe was actually eating on air, by the way. I had 2 biscuits there when we started. So
Rome wasn't built today, but we'll stay working on that. You're hiding it fairly well anyway. I wish I could hide it as well. Like in terms of what we have coming up, lads, we have a good bit to get through. Like major talking points from the senior final. We're going through the intermediate final, junior final. We have a team of the year to get through. We have a player of the year to award to as well. Football championships, as we said, coming up, as Stevie has mentioned briefly there. So we'll do our best to get through as much of that as possible in a reasonable time. But we have a clatter of post-match interviews as well from all those games. We're going to hear from Richie Doyle, Naomh Bríd manager. We have Ayrton Gleeson and Aaron Allen, the joint captains. Alan Whelan and the Bull Cummins, who are joint captains of the junior team. Mad for joint captains this weather. And then, of course, Rangers had a remarkable success in that senior final. We'll hear from David Phelan, Eddie Byrne, John Nolan, and Richie and Paul Cody there as well. So, yeah, nice little bit to get through. as always, you can get in touch with us. Just send in a little comment underneath the post there on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube, where we are live. Just in terms of Twitter as well, if you are sending in a comment, lads, comment actually underneath the post. It won't come on the screen through Periscope, unfortunately, wherever it is. So when you see the live link, just literally comment underneath it, and so we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see what the crack is. And don't forget to follow us on all those platforms as well. That really does help. Instagram, we're active on that too. We can't do a live stream on that at the same time for some reason. Maybe the lads here with the software will sort it out, but the technical difficulty would mean that only the lad in the middle gets seen. So it would be a podcast with Joe and Nolan, and you'd hear the other two every now and then, which is that's kind of the way it's been for the last month anyway. So
give the people what they want, Kevin. Give the people what they want.
That's it, lad. That's it.
Give the people what they want, man.
What's the handiest thing to do? Will we start in the order of which the games are played? Is that the fairest way of doing it? So we'll start with Saturday. So. All right, so we're in now at Cullen Park. Steve, how nervous were you beforehand?
Very, because if you're playing as one thing, you're nervous because of that, but you can control some of it. But Saturday leading up to wasn't good. No, I'll be honest. I'm not great fingernails at the best of times, and there wasn't much of them left before I even got into match. Just when the match is on, it's up and going. You're grand, like you have something to focus. You're looking at every ball or shouting at something or other. But no, it was sure. I was asking different lads, after the match, would have been nervous before the matches, or lads that, were playing, and lads that weren't playing. And sure, some lads are, and more lads are not. And more lads want to let on anyway, whether they are or not. So, no, sure, look, once it started, like, and it gets up and going, then, like, the game takes on whatever shape it's going to take. And sure, we were going well for 40 minutes, and the next 12 or 13 minutes was non-existent in our end, and sure we were gone from 6 up to 2 down, and the fairest the boys showed great character to come back and get the last 4 scores. So it was nothing in it. And instead of going last week, and anyone was asking last 2 or 3 weeks between Munster Rangers and Mice and ourselves, puck of a ball, like we beat Rangers by 5 points, Mice will be 2. They were reversing results earlier on the year, and like another day they can go the other way. So look, it was great to get the win. And look back at the match there now yesterday. There's some great hurling. Like at times you'd see things happening. Look, sure, we're going with decisions with referees and things. Look, John Murphy blew the whistle and it was a free, and that was it. He wasn't changing his mind, and whether it was right or wrong on either side. And same whistle. Look at John Hickey refereeing. He let go literally, and you should know after 10 or 15 minutes what way a free is going, as in if there's a routine of hand passes or a problem or over carrying, which was ours for a couple of minutes there. We have 2 or 3 points from frees, I think, from that. And I suppose you look at the other way, if you get caught once, like you get caught twice or 3 times, you have to be looking at yourself as well. But no, look, great to come out to win, and boys had a good old day yesterday. Now that they were good for them, and sure, same as any county final, no matter whether it's in Timbuktu or Longford or Kerry or Kilkenny, to see Kevin or John Myler winning his 7th title with Kilmiley, belong Kerry, like, and he was training St. Martin's last week during relegation playoff without, that's the one spectrum to the other, one end of it.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, in terms of that one, first of all, it was great to be back alongside Tommy Murphy for a commentary. Like, what a gentleman. It was such a good time for Tommy. He's like the grandfather you never had. Like, he's just such a nice fella, and a wealth of information and knowledge and some great ideas. And it was always good fun doing the commentary with him. And we did have good crack, like. But like a few things that, I'll pick up on your point first about refereeing and stuff, like, because I spoke to 2 lads after, and they felt very, very hard done by a number of decisions. For me, I would have felt, having watched back the video afterwards, often when you're on commentary, you need to look back on it again just to see where you calling it right, etc., etc. And I suppose I felt bar 2, there was, most of them that I think he felt aggrieved about were borderline. They could have went either way, but there was only 2 real obvious ones that I felt everybody should have had frees for. So, like, when I talk about the borderline ones, it's when you're caught up in a tackle and you could get blown for steps or you could be given a free. Like, they can go either way, depending on game to game, and you can't really argue either way. But when there's a blatant kind of a push in the back, or another kind of an incident, I think, where Leeson was held up and the hurl actually stopped them as opposed to some lad's body, that's obvious. So I don't know. And maybe when the lads look back, they felt a bit differently. Maybe they didn't. But let's stick with. I don't want to talk about referees anyway. I'll talk about John later on because I thought John did a good job on the senior final, contrary to what maybe other people think. But the action itself, from the get-go, and we would have remarked on it in the video, Stevie, like the tackling from both sets of forwards was unbelievable. Nail Breed in particular in the first minute or two, when I think there was possibly 3 turnovers in one little phase of play. Naomh Eoin then in the next couple of minutes, I remember Keith Hogan turning over, lads, and we remarked on it in the video, when you're a defender and you see your forwards doing that, like, it gives you a great lift and takes a lot of pressure off you, especially in a county final. And I thought that set the foundations for both sides. Probably a little bit nervous early on, as you'd expect. Like, Killian missed a couple of frees early, and then the radar came in, and he didn't miss a whole lot after that. For me, where the tussle was, or where the game was kind of perhaps won and lost to a certain extent, or definitely a big factor in it, was Shane Kavanagh versus Fico Toole. So, like, Naomh Eoin obviously made the decision to let Shane just hold the centre and come back, I suppose, protect the full back line essentially. But Fico Toole came in around the halfway line, often on his own 65. And he was very, very intelligent for a chap that's only in his second year of adult hurling. So he was either picking off scores from play, which he got to the tune of, I think I have 5 points from play down for him here. I think maybe 3 or 4 of those are in the first half. And also, he was very good in bypassing Shane. So I think for most of the first half, that was a big, big problem. And then a little bit in the second half, it wasn't as big of a problem because Shane got a bit tighter and started coming out with a lot more loose ball. But it was a big, big thing. And I don't know, maybe did Naomh Eoin miss a trick there by either pushing Shane on him and taking a gamble, or maybe putting someone else across onto him. I don't know. I think that was maybe something where they might look back on. Colin Beck, very good for Naomh Eoin. I felt, came out with a lot of ball. He went to midfield for the second half, and he was flying at a wing back. And again, in hindsight, like, you'd be thinking, you leave a lad when he's playing well in position. I don't know if he was as effective in the second half. From, I suppose, Naomh Breed's point of view, for me, Fico Toole was man of the match, but it was very close to him, Andy Malini. Andy Malini got an unmerciful thump in the first half, purely accidental, but got turned upside down and stayed down. And Joe, you were after teaching this lad, them boys don't stay down. Like, they're boxing champions at All-Ireland level. So it takes a fair clatter. And this lad, I've seen lads going off with whiplash.
I seen Andy getting the belt in an under-16 match. He would have been, his brother Brian was fullback. It was under-16 semi-final against Burn Rangers football, over 6-7 years ago. And Andy, he was the same height he is now probably, but wasn't half the size he is now. He got a merciful belt off some chap from Burn, totally going for the ball. And Brian, the brother, is a big unit. He came up from the full back line with an investigator's hat on to know what was after happening. Now, I was doing umpire, and I said to him with pure accent, which it was, and now that day as well, the same crack, a boxer's jaw, like or chin, we'll call it, able to take a clat, but the belt he got the other day from Martin Clowry, purely accidental. Jeez, it was a car smack. Now, I'll tell you that. Now, I was very surprised even he got up from it, and that's saying something. But and he wasn't, like, outstanding after that. Like, he just shook it off, and unreal.
He wasn't far off man of the match now, honestly. And he's a big game player. He was the same for Ballybrand in the intermediate football final. And anytime I had him for a couple of years at minor level, and the same crack. Like, you can always count on turn up on a big day. Just fucking loves it, lives for it. He's like, bring it on.
You can give him a job as well. Like, I mean, look, you know what I mean. He's very easy work with. Like, he doesn't. If you don't need to give him too many instructions. Like, in terms of, like, pick a man, take a lad out of the game, whatever you want to do. He's just such a good chap to work with. Yeah.
Well, the one standout for me was the 2016 minor semi-final, and we were after getting a hiding off Rangers in the group stages, and we played them in the semi-final. Most of the team was actually minor again the following year. We didn't do as well. But anyway, this 16 semi-final, Rangers were hot favourites. Chris Nolan was there. I think John could have been injured, in fairness. Gary Lawler was there, Tony Lawler, all the big guns that are now spearheading the senior side. And Chris got a few scores early on. And, like, Brian Malini was doing quite well on him, but Andy just turned around to me and he begged me to put him on him. And, like, as a coach or whatever, you're like, well, I kind of made a decision, but I felt, you know what, in this case, he's actually probably right because he's up for this. Like, I don't know, did he score after? And this is in the first half when it happened. Like, so, I think that boxer's mentality works wonders in people. It's just you versus him, and I think it does stand to the lads when they're playing GA too. So, we'll move on from that. The one other thing I'd have to be, I don't like being critical, but I do feel Naomh Eoin missed a beat as well. And we said it in the video, Stevie, was like Dermot Deacon picked up a yellow card, right? And then he fouled Aaron Almond soon after. And at that point, with one foul after yellow, you're thinking to yourself, maybe should I make a change? A second foul came, he wasn't sent off, and he was still left on him. So at that point, the next tackle, you're a goner. And that's what happened. It went down to 14. Now, look, it was kind of, mid to maybe over the midway point in the second half or whatever.
There's only 4 minutes left when it happened, actually. 4 minutes left.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot left. I knew it was late enough in the game. But it was still avoidable, like, from a tactical point of view. It probably was avoidable. But yeah, the big swing in the game, like myself and Tommy were saying, whoever's going to get a goal win this, like, because it was tit for tat, and goal scoring opportunities were few and far between. And then Cavan got the goal, and Moish looked very, very good at that point. What was it, 112-13? And then sure, Neighbourly rattled off the next 4. I didn't get to cut the clip actually for Fico, who was point to put them 1 up in injury time, but Jamie Doyle got a ball, kicked it straight across, like a kick pass straight to his hand, and Fig put it over. It was worthy of winning any game. Then Colin Byrne over the insurance point.
Was that the one? He got a good point there. Looking back on it, there he got a point after he'd missed a free. Was that one you're referring to?
This is literally injury time to win it now.
He missed one from play, I think. He missed one from play.
Yeah. Just and then nailed the next one, under pressure at the end as well. Great sign for a young lad, wasn't it? Like,
no, Jamie had got blue for over carrying, as someone else did as well. Literally had up in the tackle, and like we were probably going mad at the time. Was blew up for a free out for over carrying. It was probably on the way to being over carrying, but look, he blew the whistle. That was it. But in fairness to Jamie, he got the ball free, and he put his boat hold straight into Fake's hand. Like, and at least he learned, that. The hard way, that he just been held up before, right? Okay, get the ball over your hand anyway.
Another smart move, Stevie, again, I hate giving you credit, but the management team called this very well. When Neighbourly had the extra man, within a minute or two, Watchy was brought on as the free man. Like, what better vocal would you want in that position? And Cottle Brennan was doing quite well, but I think Cottle even know himself, so Watchy's around years, and if you want the free man, that's the man for the job. And maybe one ball, I think, came in his direction. He caught it, gathered it, was put over the line for a line ball, but it was nearly justifiable in that sense alone, because it did kill another minute. Again, the line ball was taken and stuff. So, we have to give credit when those decisions are made, because when they're not, we're given out. So I thought that was a very wise move as well. But as a game in general, it was of good quality and good standard, and it backs up what we were saying the other night in terms of how much the grades have improved, in terms of quality. So, up senior now next year, which is great, and back to the 6 senior clubs. But Naomh Eoin deserve huge credit in this as well for their second. That's a seriously strong second team. And they kept going. Cavan after the match, I spoke to Shane. I didn't interview him, just had a chat with him. He's smiling, and the man was hurting. Obviously, do you know what I mean? You're not going to feel good after losing any county final, no matter how many you're after winning. Joe McDonough's, Christy Rings, whatever the case may be. He's not going to be in good form. But he was smiling away and just taking it all in his stride. And I think that's the measure of him,
last year the intermediate final was outrageous. The scores between the two teams, Munster Range and Naomh Eoin. There was something like 16 or 17 scores from play, different scores from play. Now, the other day wasn't the same, but I noticed last year, and I noticed it again Saturday. The Michael subs and the support. Last year, there might have been 50 at the game, or was there anyone? I can't actually remember what restrictions were at the time. But their subs last year were as if the stand was full of Michael lads. And when that roar came up last Saturday evening, they were 6 points down, and I was over the far side, and I didn't open my mouth for, I'd say, 20 minutes of the second half, definitely 10 minutes of it anyway. They get that roar going, and the rest of them out there at the side of the stand, it's just sucking the ball over the line, over the bar. It's talk about 16th man. It's they done it again, and they went from 6 down to 2 up, and that's, they don't give in, and that's the Michael mentality, and it should be a mentality in everyone's life that you don't give up. But when we were 6 points up, we knew the game wasn't done and dusted by any bloody means, so you wanted them boys better, they're going out to get with a cup in your hand, and even at that, so and as you said, for a second team, they have lads on the way up, lads on the way down, and then you probably have lads that are probably, commitment wise mightn't be able to go for the senior team or whatever for various reasons, but serious standard, and it's last year, and I said it to one of the Rangers after the game the last day, that the standard intermediate, when you're going to look at matches and up in the terrace looking at them, you kind of take it in one ear and out the other. But like when you're actually involved with the team and look and see how it is and the nuts and bolts of it, like it has improved, but it has to have improved because you have Sam Mullins or Mount Leinster Rangers going on to contest Leinster titles and winning them, and so obviously Mount Leinster Rangers second team is going to be strong as well. They have 4 lads going off it this year. Like Gary Kelly didn't get minutes hurling last year, senior. He came back from injury. They didn't put him on the senior final when they were going to be 15 points. They didn't give him a minute, but he was eligible for intermediate this year, onto the senior team, and just see what he done yesterday. Like in the first half, it's where he had the ball of his own.
Yeah, definitely. So let's hear from Richie Doyle, the manager, first. We're going to hear from Aaron Gleeson and Aaron Almond as well. Okay. Richie Doyle, Neighbourly manager, congratulations first of all. Mighty stuff. A very good final. Could have went either way, but thankfully it's gone in your favour.
Yeah, no, listen, it was a savage battle, but we knew before we came out like that, no matter how much you go in front or if we do hit the lead, that Michael weren't going to lay down. As previous champions, they weren't going to relinquish their cup to us. But I suppose we showed savage character. We went 7 points up. We let them back into it. We took the foot off the gas, and then they went 2 points up, and the goal rattled us a bit. And I thought that we settled fierce well. We got our shape back. We started playing in the brand of hurling we wanted to play again, and we got the four unanswered points to win it near the end. So it was a savage show of character from the lads, especially that the backbone of the team is very, very young, and for them to stand up as men today was just so satisfying for us as a management team.
Yeah, and I suppose we don't like singling out individuals, but you're looking at Vigo O'Toole's only 19 years of age up against one of Carlow's greatest ever hurlers, and had a very good game, maybe 4 or 5 points from play, and flawless on the freeze as well. So a lot of those guys did stand up, and it was wonderful to see. Like,
I know, absolutely. I suppose like we kind of learnt from the game we played 2 weeks ago. We kind of poked a lot of ball. Our striking wasn't as crisp as it should have been last weekend as well, so we really honed in on that this week. We didn't want to be poking ball down top of Kavanagh there at centre back, and we knew if we could get Feek to 10 or 15 yards in front and play short, that he would do the damage. And thankfully it worked. If it didn't, we're scratching our heads, but thankfully it did work, and Feek had a savage game and really kind of stepped up to adult hurling, I thought, and it's good to see him going forward for a lad like that for the county. He's a savage prospect and has a great head, so hopefully
definitely push on. And I suppose looking at it, we felt on commentary that whoever's going to get the goal is probably going to win it, and it was taking shape like that. But like that's what makes the response of the points in quick succession so pleasing, I suppose, and the fact that lads didn't panic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we said it all year. Like, I suppose we lacked a small bit of belief as a group, and we talked about that for the last few weeks, that we need to don't panic and have belief in ourselves and our ability. And I think lads kept cool head towards the end, worked their scores brilliantly to get to, and even the couple of frees that we won, they were hard earned, but they were won. And we worked the ball well, got the last 4 points, and it was savagely pleasing. Like, they didn't panic, and that's a great sign of young fellas and a team as well.
And just one thing I'd like to remark on, coming near the end when obviously Nave Owen went down to 14, I thought it was a very smart move bringing in Watchy. Like, I mean, all the experience he's had, and you put him in as free man, and he came out with a ball or two. It's definitely something that was remarked on there anyway, and all those things matter, and it was good for yourself and the lads on the sideline to keep calm and see that when the white heat of battle is there. Like,
yeah, no, listen, Watchy, he's been knocking around for a long time. He's yourself, savage hurler, was one of the best probably in Carlow at one stage, and a cool head around young lads at that stage was badly wanted, and to put him in as a free man, he's pushing on. He won't mind me saying it, but he's a great reader of the game, I thought, and he's been striking the ball very well in training, so we knew if he went in he'd do a job, keep a shape and keep lads organised around him, and he's a leader, and lads look up to lads like that, and I thought he saw us out very well towards the end there.
From your own point of view, obviously you'd rather be playing. What's this management crack like? Are you enjoying it? Obviously you're enjoying it today, but how are you finding it?
Yeah, no, listen, it's obviously I've had my battle of injuries last few years, and I kind of took a step back a couple of years ago and went into coaching, and it's a great release. It's great, it's great for the head to get down and kind of maybe pass on a small bit to lads, and it's savage days like this, like they're hard come by, and it's great. It's when you have that buzz back, the championship buzz that you used to get as a player, and it's savage, and it's something that I'm looking forward to hopefully staying in for a while. And
you'll knock around for next year anyway when we go up senior.
That's it. Yeah, listen, it's as Ayrton alluded to, we always said this was a kind of a 2-year project, and I know with COVID kind of hindered us in regards to gym work and developing young lads, but now I suppose COVID is hopefully coming towards an end, and we can get, you know, players developed, get us in a good shape to take on senior next year, because, you know, like, we're not just going to be there to try and make up the numbers either. We have a young team, and I think if they stay hurling and stay believing in themselves, and we can develop throughout the winter, and, you know, we have hopefully a Leinster Championship to look after as well, so, you know, we'll try and develop throughout that and get ready for senior next year, because, as I said, the lads over there don't want to just go and make up the numbers, you know.
Absolutely.
It's a great sign.
Listen, Richie, well done again. It's great to see everybody back senior, and thanks for chatting with us.
Cheers,
Alright.
thanks a million, cheers. Thanks.
Aaron Leeson, Aaron Almond, Nave Reid, intermediate champions for 2021 and heading back senior. You must be delighted, lads.
Over the moon. Like, it's been a project really for the last couple of years, just trying to bring in the young lads, get them used to the level, and doing our best to get back up. So it's some feeling to finally get back up there. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I'm going to have to make sure I say this the right way now, Aaron, right? But so Pádraig will be a brother of Aaron Almond's now, as opposed to Aaron being a brother of Pádraig's. Is that the way it is? Yeah.
That's been the way for a couple of years, so it is at this stage.
Yeah.
I tell you one thing, that's always my answer anytime anyone asks about it.
Yeah.
So
Listen, lad, super stuff, right? Funny kind of sort of a game. You look comfortable for long periods, and then Michael got the goal, and we were kind of saying in commentary that maybe whoever's going to get the goal was going to win it, but the response from you was savage.
I suppose we've kind of done that all year. We've kind of had dribs and drabs where we're very good, and then we're just very poor. We take the foot off the pedal, but I suppose the difference today would have been, usually when Michael do that, Michael get on top of you, and they will turn you over. Like you said, they'll get that goal and then they'll drive on, whereas that's what's happened throughout the year. So we're just happy today that we were able to actually hold on to the lead and get over the line.
Super blend there, Ayrton, in fairness. Like, there's lads at both ends of the age spectrum, as we said, and we need that blend. Like, but I thought the chaps in particular today were fantastic, weren't they?
Oh, some of them, like, especially Fake, just stood up today. Like, this is the place to do it, and they really picked the time and place to do it. It was unbelievable to see younger lads like that, and Jamie Doyle as well coming on, making a huge impact. And it's been the way it has been, to be honest, all the way through the year. Even at training sessions, the young lads that are driving it on, and it's great to see them actually getting a bit of recognition today for the effort they put in. It's been fantastic.
I think something there that's actually just important to point out that he's alluded to is it's probably the first year, or maybe last year as well, since maybe 2008, 2007, when we had them young lads at training. It's absolutely brilliant. They're the ones that are driving it on. Some of them didn't play today, some of them have played throughout the year, but they're the ones that have been driving it on and training all year, so it's absolutely brilliant.
That's what you want to see. And I suppose, lads, the way the championship has been played with hurling first, it has benefited Nave Reid in particular, because we can go off and play football then, or vice versa. It doesn't have to be a choice anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It was the one thing that I felt really hampered us a little bit throughout the years, was just lads getting pulled and dragged left, right and centre, and it was very difficult for lads to be able to do 100% on the one thing, whereas when you have this kind of a split, it really allows lads to just focus on one thing, and focus on hurling or focus on football, and you can give your all, and we reap the benefits of it today, so as you can see.
Absolutely. Ayrton, just one thing we have to address, you can neither confirm or deny if you don't want to. Is this your last game for Nave Reid?
Sure.
Obviously it's Leinster Championship, but in terms of a Carlow Championship, like?
It's only a 3.5 hour commute, isn't it? So
we're hearing all kinds of rumours.
Yeah, well, possibly anyway, but we'll make the decision when we need to make it, yeah.
Like, not only are you potentially leaving Nave Reid, you could be leaving the EU and the whole lot.
yeah, exactly, yeah. I'll have to be coming down from my European getaways down to Carlow.
Yeah. Aaron, it looks like we're going to have a gap, obviously, before any Leinster Championship, because football and all has to be played, so you know, that'll present us challenges. Not that you'll be worrying about them tonight or tomorrow night or maybe Monday, but like, it's something we'll have to think about and maybe come up with a plan for.
Yeah, definitely. I actually, to be quite honest, I don't even know when it is, but sure, it'll be in the next 5 or 6 weeks or whatever. But look, I suppose the next 2 or 3 weeks anyway, our main focus is going to be football. Big game coming up this week, this Friday. So look, it's going to be football for the next 2 or 3 weeks. We'll see what the crack is. We're after focusing on hurling for the last few weeks, so football will be the focus from Monday onwards. And sure, look, whenever we get the dates at Leinster, we'll consider that, but we'll be tipping away anyway. We always have a hurl in our hand at some stage anyway. So
good stuff. Well, listen, lads, thanks for your time. Well done again, and we'll chat soon. All right.
Thanks very much, Kev. Thank you.
All right, so there we go. That was Ayrton Leeson, Aaron Almond, and before that, Richie Doyle. So yeah, I'll leave it to you, lads.
Yeah, great to see Aaron there. Anyway, just to say, well done to them all, but well done to Aaron. He really wears his heart in the sleeve, like, you know what I mean. He'd be chatting to him a good bit there over the course of the year, and fair play to him and Ayrton as well. Would have known him as a young lad as well. Big commitment, in fairness. And I was just remarking there, to someone. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, Steve. We played. I think you were in there in Dr. Cullen Park after in a kind of an intermediate B. Remember when there was kind of, I don't know what you'd call it. We were playing ourselves anyway. Our second team was playing near Breed, and I remember, being on the pitch and looking, and you were warming up, and our numbers were tight, and geez, years were tighter, and it's just remarkable the work and the progress.
Yeah, 2000 and
was it 3
yeah,
years ago?
2018.
2018, yeah.
No, sorry.
19.
19, sorry, yeah. I remember that was actually I was up on the terrace. They weren't that bad that they needed me going in. I think that one sub, but look,
But isn't it great to progress, like clubs? That we've been talking about clubs being up and down or whatever, but like things can change for clubs like in the space of a couple of years, like with the right kind of, with a good energy, and you're a big part of that, driving things on down there. Fair play to you. And I think I think for you as well, I really do think this split season is working for you. I really think it's a no-brainer for you. I think
so it has to, when you have 4 football clubs nearly feeding into one team, it has to be. And in fairness, look, we had very good cooperation with the football clubs this year. We had to compromise a bit, or they had to more than us, and coming up toward a fair play to them. Okay, it's tough on the lad is playing football, not playing hurling, that his championship only starting on next Friday evening, whoever he is. That is what it is. But I'll go back to Everton Leeson there for a second. It was a funny one. I was coming out of the match Saturday evening. We were up in Carlow town getting the cars, and I had an idea that Ayrton's granny and grandfather were driving instructors back in the day, and the poor unfortunates had the job of getting me over the line and with driving lessons 25 years ago. So I wouldn't say they probably had better drivers than me and worse since. But I was gas. I said it to Ayrton's granny, and I said, "You have me first." And I think the husband's name is Jim, and you sent Jim down to give me a lesson. He said, "You're not going to pass that fucking test, but we did pass it the following Thursday anyway." So no, Ayrton, if he goes, it'll be a big loss. But look, as he said, he'll make the decision when he has to. But look, players get players back more than lads that are in their 40s or 50s. Lads are hanging around with lads, and that's the thing. If no matter what sport and you're into, if you're in second class in school and there's half your mates are playing, whatever it is, basketball, football, soccer, you'll get more of them into it. And that's the very same as they grow up. If a lad is playing minor under 21, and his mates are still playing, there's more of them playing than there's not. They have a better chance to get them back than any John Nolan or Stephen Bambrick or Kevin Regan. And that's just a fact that the lads are in their own age group. They're the boys you can thank for a lot of that work.
Mm-hmm. All right, lads. Look, we'll leave it at that. We're going to move on to Sunday then and the Junior Hurling Final. So Steve, I had a bit of a delay getting to this one. I shouldn't have asked for the steak. Well done. I should have said medium. We would have had the first half probably. the early kick off there kind of snookered me slightly, but I think it was getting there half time when I got in there anyway. And I mean, yeah, like I thought it was decent quality as well for junior hurling. I was surprised at the amount of palas that actually had hurling that I wouldn't have seen play before. Andrew Keogh, probably the biggest standout. 4 points from play, left and right side. You know what I mean? He had a bit about him. Touch was good, striking was good. Like Omar Man, I would have seen he's around a long time. Like, you know, we're playing again him for a decade or more. And like Cottle Ryan used to hurl with Nair Breed, so we knew plenty about him. Jamie Kenny, very same age. He's a year younger than me, like, but same age group, roughly grown up along, and I knew he had a bit of hurling in him. So for Biddenstown, Joe, you called this one correctly. You felt, I think, on Friday that the fact that they had maybe more natural hurlers or lads that were hurling longer or, you know, was going to be telling a factor, and it probably did in the end. Like, do you know what I mean? 215 to 1-9 is how it finished up. But I'm just looking down to the program here, and it's funny. Myself and Steve, you were talking yesterday. It was a hard program to write on. We felt that we could be going off engraving headstones again when we were finished, because it was just impossible to write scores on. So there's certainly 2 or 3 pages marked as I look back through here. But anyway, look back to the point. There's 6 scorers for Biddenstown, like in a junior final. And you know yourself, and a lot of time at this grade, you're depending on maybe a free taker, because there's a bit of stop-start nature to junior hurling. and but not in this case. Like Paddy McDonald got a point from midfield, Rory Doyle got 2 from play, Nathan Bourne got 1 from play, Liam Galway 1, 3, Neil Martin 2 points, Alan Whelan we have what have we got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 6 I think. So those were all telling contributions, as the fella said. Like Pal, to their credit as well, had a good spread of scores. In the first half, which I missed, as we said, Shane O'Neill got a point. Owen McMahon scored. Jesus, he took the penalty first, well, Stevie, didn't he?
Like James Carlow, he's a fair goalie, and
he's no flat tire. In fairness, like
he
1,
picked
1,
his
2.
spot.
Yeah, there was no saving. The senior keeper wouldn't have saved it. It was a great penalty.
No.
Andrew Keogh, as we said, Cotton O'Neill on the score sheet as well. And hold on now, this is the perfect time to show this baby here.
It's a lovely ball into the danger. That's what we want. His brother's going to battle for it there, Daffy. Kick. Oh, poor Kelly with a great score. Kelly kicks it over the bar. Doesn't need a hurl. In fairness, he's probably better footballer than hurler anyway. May have been an advantage for him not to have the hurl, but he stuck it over. Good stuff, poor Kelly.
A great commentary there from Eddie McGarry, and thanks to John Nolan for showing it. Do you want to look at that? I thought that was outrageous at the time. We're going to play it once more and then we'll talk about it, right?
It's a lovely ball into the danger. That's what we want. His brother's going to battle for it there, Daffy. Kick. Oh, poor Kelly with a great score. Kelly kicks it over the bar. Doesn't need a hurl. In fairness, he's probably better footballer than hurler anyway. May have been an advantage for him not to have the hurl, but he stuck it over. Good stuff, poor Kelly.
I thought that was outrageous.
Eddie called it as he seen it anyway.
Yeah, like, and in fairness, the video there makes it look a little bit closer, kind of. But from where me and Stevie were, like, he was out a little bit more to the left than what the camera angle kind of justifies, So he had a bit of work to do. I've never seen a kick point like that in a hurling game in my life. Like,
and we talking about Chris Nolan the other day. All he did was flick it up. Jesus, is that your man? Huh?
Yeah, that was altogether. And like the terrorists in stand were laughing. It was really strange. It was kind of just like, it was a bit of a cheer, obviously, and then there was kind of like a giddiness. You know what I mean? It was mad stuff. Saroni and Junior Hurling, you could see anything, like, but no, that was great. That was probably score of the weekend, actually. But no, Stevie, it was a good game though, wasn't it? Like, I mean, Bangladesh built up ahead of steam, and Pal stayed going, like. Yeah,
like Bangladesh, very experienced team, like Murty Cummins half back line there, James Gagan, McDonald's like to run all day and have a bit of hurling to Darren Crooks, another lad at Sam Crack, like, and all the forward scored except Dotsy. It was gas. Rory Doyle hit a point. I didn't see his first one. I was late coming in.
Sorry, I just thought of something.
Rory hits his second point, and his mother's in front of us. He says, "About fucking time," And at this stage, like, they were probably 6 or 7 points up. So there wasn't that.
Come here. Do you remember when James Carlow was kind of spooning the ball out along the end line, right? Like, he was nearly at the sideline now at this point, but he kept going along the end line. The Pala didn't have a hurl, and he went to knock it off the sideline then to clear it. Pal intercepted. I think the ball ended up going wide, and someone let it roar, and Carlow go back in the goal. It's not fucking Superman here. And it was just brilliant, like, it was.
Happy James will be fairly one-liner, and I'd say he was himself. I'm playing junior for a reason, lads. So.
You can hear it on the terrace, like.
Oh yeah, but Alan Whelan centre forward, full forward. A lot of ball went through his hands as in playmaker. No, a bit like Dennis Murphy was doing the senior game, but not who was far, laying off ball to other lads, and they probably left a lot of scores behind them. Now the game was, once they got the penalty, they were always about 6 ahead at worst. But like, a lot of ball went through his hands. He scored 1-6, couple of points from frees and a penalty maybe, but he was a quite good link man there, And they said Cathal Ryan hurled with us and hurled with Fiennes. I think he could be actually first cousin to JJ Delaney's.
That's right.
He got on a good bit of ball as well. But like, the thing about a junior team is you'll have the mix of lads that, and Neil Martin come on and score 2 points. I better say that, or Claire Gardner, his mother will be going mental. She's going mental anyway. So, but anyway, I'll get a text off her there in the next 2 or 3 minutes. And the balance of the team, like, Dotsy, fierce experience, mightn't have gone the score sheet, but still, the Liam Galway 1-3, another chap like Andrew Kane with injuries, you'll be thinking, he'll be pushing on next year to the senior team if he stays fit in that. So, and like Pal, unfortunately, Billy McDonald, hurt the knee there. He wasn't on, say, 5 minutes, and these things happen in a junior match more than a senior match possibly, But it was Andrew Keogh. I thought he hit some cracking scores. Like Joe said, I think 4 from play. Like, he looked well at home out there now, you know. And I said James Gagan still played very well as well, you know. So we're back to the old one. There's lads getting scores. There's lads marking playing well as well, and even at junior level, that's what goes on there.
Yeah, like I would have liked to see Paul with a bit more training in them, because there's actually great potential there. Seriously, good potential. And maybe go on, yeah.
Yeah, no, just on that, Kevin, I think, you know, we were talking last week, we got Snack Box on with the preview show and all, and
just before you continue, sorry, he has probably gone down as the most popular guest we've ever had on. The amount of text I'm after getting since that, I swear to Jesus. He's gone down a treat. So we were on about giving him his own slot and his own podcast there, and someone got in touch and they said he's talking about the Sunday game already. So anyway, Joe, go on, build away.
The pod box. I was going to say, just on that, I know, in fairness, I have to say, the boys, I'd be obviously talking close enough with Shane O'Neill during the year, worked with us last year and so on. And in fairness to Pal, they got organised a bit more this year. And while they mightn't have been doing as much hurling training as, you know, as other hurling clubs, they were doing to put a bit of structure to it, put a focus on it, you know, put a bit of togetherness on it and so on. And I think that I'd say watch that space, to be honest with you. I'd say they'll push again next year. And I think even that was an interesting point with the split seasons, talking to lads. Actually, if the seasons are flipped next year with football first and hurling second, that might actually be a better thing for them again, if you get me, because their full focus will be on the hurling. But in fairness to him, like I said, I was talking to Shane and he was on about, obviously Shane is good hurler and he's into the hurling as well as much as the football. But they had a bit of structure to things there this year, and while they came up short, at least it's a good sign that they're putting an emphasis on it and putting a bit of focus on it. But on Bagenstown Gales, I did see them once this year, and we talked about tight championships and jokes, like, you know, and there was a couple of teams in the shake up for, like, they could have gone up, like we said, they only beat Burn Rangers by a puck of a ball, but they'll make a good intermediate team, I think, next year. Do you know what I mean? They've a lot of good young lads coming up, and I think that'll be good for them as a club, because I think, you know yourself, the better the standard the younger lads are playing at, and bolstered by the few older lads, has to be good for them, and it'll probably, you know, it'll be a big fill up for their seniors as well, having lads coming up out of intermediate rather than coming up out of junior to fill up their team. So they'll be pleased with that, to go along with the under-20 win as well. So it's been a good year for them on the hurling front.
Definitely has. We're going to hear from joint captains now. It's Alan Whelan and Liam Cummins. Look at this now, two boys close together and a beautiful song in the background in the hall. Listen, lads, we'll try overpower the music here. Bagenstown have won the Junior Championship. We have Alan Whelan and Liam Cummins. Alan, you must be delighted.
Yeah, absolutely. I said up in the speech there, was completely different compared to last year. Like last year we were bringing lads coming to the park, and this year we knew seniors put the foot down, and they led the way and we followed. We got lads over to the park, juniors, we got everyone over, and it was 15, 16 juniors that train, which you never ever see, and it was great, and it showed today, and we're back up intermediate where we want to be.
Paul, as a former workmate of yours in Conley's and Life, yeah, well done. You weren't much of a talker then, you were more of a lad that, you weren't much of a worker either, I'd say. I'm only kidding you, but listen, you're a bit of a hurler on you. Well done, fantastic.
Cheers. I know, look, it was a tough game as well. Like, Pal really put it up to us there. As you say, like, back in at the start, played them in the league and won by 2 points, like, and we knew we had to work hard today, and look, we got over the line in the end. Scoreboard, I know at one stage looked healthy, but I suppose the Robs coming back at us, and it's great to get over the line.
Alan, in terms of yourself, like, I mean, you're a lover of the game. We have to ask you what the nickname. Where did Chipper come from? We've a snack box out in Palatine. We've a Chipper in Bagenstown. Are you related, I wonder?
I heard that in the podcast already there during the week, but no, unfortunately it's in the name. I went through a rough patch there when I got injured, and went down a dark alley, but hopefully on the way back to play senior hurling next year. But no, it came from 5 or 6 a week. It was tough. It was tough now to keep it going, but I lived up to the name for a while, and hopefully I'll lose it now next year or the year after.
Well, listen, come here. In fairness, you put on a hell of a performance today, racked up a nice little tally, and you had a great spread of scorers as well in general, and great to see the town going well. Seniors had a great year, and sure, plenty of positivity now going into next year, like.
Exactly, no, it is, and it's like under 20s as well, and then the seniors. I know they got tipped in the semi-final there, but they had a great year as well. When you look back at it, we didn't win a game last year, and to come back and win 3 games on the bounce and got good momentum going. It made a massive difference, and hopefully we build on it now for next year, and hopefully the lads will take another step and we'll take a step to intermediate, and hopefully put it up in intermediate and see where we go from there.
Last question, Bull. A couple of points to be drank tonight, maybe tomorrow as well, but football's coming around the corner too, so it's tricky. You have much time to be celebrating?
No, at least we have a bye next weekend, so look, we'll make the most of it today and tomorrow, so we will, and sure we'll take it back then. We'll get going in football.
Well deserved. Alan Wheel and Liam Coens, congratulations, alright? There you have it, lads. Two characters. I had great time for the Bull. The most relaxed man you'll ever meet. He used to work out in the yard at McConnelly's, and nothing would ever get to him. Contrary customers, contrary managers, didn't matter a fuck. He just did what he wanted, and he was good at his job as well. Good lad. Super gas man as well.
You weren't exactly known for your work rate in Connolly's either, lad.
I'm consistent. I was like that at work, and I'm like that in fucking playing as well. So anyway, that's the way it is. No, I was delighted for the lads. They're sound men, the two of them.
They are two good men, yeah.
And two good hurlers as well. And Alan is a cracking underage hurler. And he will get back playing senior. I've no doubt about it. Brilliant. Loads of hurling. Great free taker. And as you said, it's been a good championship like the intermediate one, and I think that's something you want to kind of remark on, Joe, was just maybe the championships in general, and even going back to under 20. And was there only one game or something that wasn't played in terms of a fixture, which is great?
Yeah, I think from memory, looking back to it, Steve, you could probably correct me as well.
Yeah, there was
only one.
And it wasn't the fault of either club. It wasn't played because the first game we were to play was against Carlow, and that was put on the same night as Ballyran were playing their refixed Junior B final, and that had to be replayed, or that had to be refixed within the month or 6 weeks as well. So the match that wasn't played would have been played in normal circumstances. Just it wasn't really anyone's fault. To be honest, it was.
Yeah, I think it was actually 2 games. Then I'm thinking of one. There was one at the junior grade, but I think it was because of a dead rubber as well, or there was a dead fixture, if you get me. Just one game had to be postponed, and then another fixture, if you get me, superseded in terms of, and then it made the group, it kind of sealed where positions in a group. But it's good progress with the under 20 as well. And yeah, I just wanted to remark, I thought the championships this year were excellent. I know we're going to be talking about the senior one now, but there wasn't a fuck of a ball, like Steve will tell you. And probably in the intermediate level, there was probably three the stronger teams, and maybe then maybe ourselves in Carlow Town were probably the weaker 2 out of 5, but any of the other 3 could have won it. And at junior level, you probably had 3 or 4 teams there in the shake-up as well. And the under 20, literally 5 teams could you could make cases for 5 teams there. St. Mullins on the far side, and then any of the 4 teams in the other group. And there was literally, it sure was the proof that it was literally only a puck of a ball between them, which was brilliant to see. And even with that, I know Neil Breed won the other competition as well, and there was only a puck of a ball in that as well between themselves and Carlow Town. So there's been a great hurling, a lot of great hurling in a condensed period of time. A lot of great matches, So it was just. And
actually, one thing, the clubs were at the start. They were looking to split 4 or 5 and a 3, and it wasn't going to work. So St. Mullins were going to be the stronger in the called the B we were in. And in fairness to the clubs, they agreed that the top team in the B would go back into an A semi-final, and then the second and third in the other would play Shield. Clubs agreed to it. If you talk York out, you might have a better chance of solving than just saying, right, that's the way it's going, and that's put the foot down. And I thought that was good at the start anyway, at least, and it worked out that way. The St. Mullins were the strongest in our group. They went up, lost the semi-final by 3 points to Munster Rangers, who lost the county final, the A final by 2 points. So but it wasn't, that's the way the minor used to work.
Yeah, but there wasn't
years where the minor B used to be.
Yeah, but there wasn't a huge difference even in that side, Stevie, in terms of in call it the whatever side, the second group or whatever you want to call it, the group 1, group 2, whatever. In your own group, there wasn't that much between the teams either. It was competitive as well.
Between the 3, St. Mullins were stronger than the other 3 by a bit now, in fairness, but the other 3 teams was not between them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rangers, Carlow ourselves.
Yeah.
So
good.
Usually under 21 was played in darkest winter, November, whatever, and just be shoved in whenever it could be fitted in, and that's in fairness, any lad that has a graph for hurling, if he hasn't hurled in the last 8 weeks, he has no one to blame on himself.
Yeah, fact.
Is that fucking dig? Is it?
Who are you going to play? Clark Rahaniska, is it?
I thought you were going to sort out that for me. I think I only went for an intercounty football transfer, right? At the office. Sure, look.
You're gone, lad. You're gone.
Nah,
That's it.
That's it.
Gone.
They're playing
with Tim O'Ho and Slave Bloom like the slappy man at that time.
Yeah. So
look at Cam Ross or somewhere. Or Castletown.
Yeah, did you have a fair trick? All right. Goes back to Ian Keneally's point though about lads in around that area that can't hurl with Carlow. Like, you know, it's definitely something that is worth tapping into. So we'll rock on to the senior final, the creme de la creme. And we were talking, Joe, obviously on Friday. There was a great reaction to the Up for the Match program, actually, just to put it out there. And it's still the stuff that Pat and James. Yeah, you said it. It doesn't hurt as much when you say it yourself. You see, that's
we didn't like saying it. We didn't like saying it, like, you know.
but there was genuinely, and it's not all time sensitive, because I'd say I think it was an hour and 20 minutes. The senior part was out of the whole program. I'd say for a good 40 of that anyway, it's not relevant to the game itself. It's more relevant to county final weekend and what that involves. So I definitely recommend people maybe going back and having a listen to that, because the honesty from Pat and James, like, it was incredible. And that's a lot of the feedback I was getting, that they couldn't get over. Like, not surprising, obviously, because two lads are honest, but just the colour they were able to paint. Like, and you obviously added into it with the bunting aspect.
So you're saying I'm telling lies is what you're basically saying there.
Well, you, like me, didn't get involved in too many fucking senior final weekends, did we? Like,
well, I tell you, I did.
No, but
I did, but in other counties when I went drinking for them. Where are we going this weekend? Where are we going this weekend, lads?
Yeah, well, you did add to it as well by the bunting and all that, because that is important. It actually brought a great story out of Pat where he was talking about, you know, crying, having seen the bunting Pope on his last senior final. Like, so that's definitely worth going back and having a look at or listen to, whichever you want to do. And just while I'm on the point before I want to senior, another thing that struck me, like, Gerard Doyle, the new PRO, which we have to say well done and congratulations to, and best of luck. Said something the other day in person. We'll put out in the record the podcast as well. Both him and Tommy Murphy were asking, like, how do you access this podcast? And it's something I'm very conscious of, because getting it to people of maybe a certain age or people that aren't great with technology, it is a bit of an issue.
Stevie.
Yeah. but it is, though, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that I'd like to have a listen, have a look at this, that just don't know how to access it. So for the viewers and listeners out there, if you can please try bring that to the people, show them how to set up. All you need to do is show them once or twice. It's very easy to access. Like, most of them do have a smartphone. So it would be great to be able to bring that to a wider audience as well, because, you know, everyone is just used to flicking the radio, and that's the way it is, and sure, understandably so. But I mean, it'll get to a stage where things might only be podcasts and stuff, that radio will be secondary, because technology keeps moving and evolving. Like, so we'd just love to maybe bring that to a new audience. But anyway, let's go on to the senior. So what did we say, Joe? You went with St. Mullins anyway, first of all. And
that's it. Throw it back in my face.
Yeah, I was going to cut the thing and play it back there again. But look, in fairness, like, the way I put it out there, Joe, it was that if Rangers hurled at their best for more than a quarter, I felt it was going to be enough. And sure, they did it for a full half, and even in a, you know, probably did it for 3 quarters actually, because even though St. Mullins matched them, I think, in the third quarter, but Rangers were probably still at the level. St. Mullins matched the level Rangers were at. Rangers still won that quarter 5-4. But like, key statistics, it's in the wider domain at the moment. But for people that don't know, Rangers scored 17 points in the first half, all from play. Scored 24 points in total, 23 out of 24 from play. All 6 forwards scored in the first 24 minutes. I'd never seen the likes of it in a county final before, lads. It was just incredible stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the first couple of scores, like the two Norlands they're having pot shots and they're all going over. And that pot shots now is the wrong terminology. Yeah. That's for a lad that's nailed the ball over the bar, basically. These boys know where the balls are and more, like.
Is that another dig? Sorry. Anyway, continue.
Like, you know, you were saying with the material of the program was hard. We were beside, we were writing down the scores, and we literally nearly had to dig it into it. And with a full-time job, like, we're looking down the first half, like, it was Chris at 5, John at 5, and Dennis Murphy, I think, at 3 at half time.
Here it is, right? I'll try. I don't know if I'll be able to bring it up on the screen. I'll put it up to the webcam. We got up really close and personal with it, but you can actually. I'll go to it. There's Marty Kavanagh's side. There's Chris' side, but like, we're literally engraving the bloody thing we wrote on it so hard. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, I mean, some of those scores. Well, Stevie, wasn't it like the boys were competing against each other, Chris and John? It was like, who's going to try outscore each other? Who's going to try get man of the match quicker? Like,
I thought we were going to go 15 rounds there one stage, and John got hooked for the
lads. We asked
Chris
nearly
stabbed the ground with the hurl.
Yeah, and he kept pointing. I actually thought Chris yesterday, I don't know, is he this in relation to Hulk Hogan, but he kept going like that. He was pointing at everyone, right? So he was doing that to John, the brother. He was doing it to the crowd. He was doing it to the St. Mullins crowd. And then he was doing it to TG Carter cameras as well. So I was just waiting for the real American music to start playing. But look, the two boys were sensational.
But then Dennis Murphy, I'll go back to Dennis Murphy again. I said, Alan Whale in the first game, Linkman. The motor ball Dennis Murphy gets in his hand and gives a 10, 12, 15 yard pass into a lad's hand. It looks the most simple thing in the world, but it's not too simple at all. And it creates a triangle or a freaking square. There's lads trying to make a tackle here. Next thing we pull around the square and there's space opening up. And Dennis Murphy had 3 points the first half. One of them, I'd say, was about 1.5 inches over the crossbar. We were talking last week about he's on his last legs, 3 crucial operations. Yesterday looked dynamite, you'd see the boys playing the way they were, and Eddie Byrne as well in that category. Like the 4 of them were just on a different level. You'd usually see one lad in the forest playing well and making the other 5 look normal, but they had 4 of them yesterday, and like that wasn't saying. Kevin Mack was wearing 12, was he? And who we leaving out? One of the Lawlers, Tony Lawler,
and they both scored.
So it's not like county final. Generally, if you're going to hit a winning figure of 20 whatever points, you'd be earmarking in a hurling match 6 year forward scoring an average 2 points a piece is 12, and maybe trying 7 or 8 frees. But then, like yesterday, that wasn't an option with John Hickey refereeing. I don't mean that he wasn't blowing the frees, and that's just the way it was, and that's not maybe right or wrong. You knew what you had to do to get a free. It was on him in the second half. James dialed the ball. There were 7 points down. He was about 25, 30 metres out. And I thought, now, if this was Dennis Murphy or Eddie Byrne, it was turned over the bar, scoreboard taking over. James took it into contact, ended up in the schmozzling edge of the square, took about a minute set for throwing and everything, no point over it, And look, these things are going to happen when there's 6 or 7 points down. You're going to go that, maybe taking in a yard or 2 forward. But like another day, that was a free and it was a point anyway. But maybe he was looking for the option of if I get in here, maybe getting for a goal. But just you can see the 2 goals in the whole championship to Ballinkillen, I think. Even Dean Grennan made a save there. Ball ricocheted out, and Oisin Ryan put it over the bar, even though I didn't put it over the bar. I think it took a deflection. It looked a good foot wide from where we were.
It was a foot wide. It wasn't even inches. It was a full foot wide.
You couldn't notice it on TG Carter, and I don't understand Irish that well to say what they're saying on about it. So,
look, do you know what the thing was, right? It was the umpire ducked, right? And it was impossible. He was never going to see it. But I said he was saying to himself, I'll put this up as a white flag because next time he actually will fucking hit me across the forward. But there's no way he could have seen it. The other umpire would have saw it either. It was a foot wide. And there was good giggles on the, on the terrace as well. We're in the middle of the St. Mullins, lads. And
like what you used to say about Mikey Sheehy as well. Like Mikey Sheehy used to hit the ball, or DJ used to hit the ball. I was down in Walsh Park one day watching DJ, and he's hitting 21s, putting them over the bar. I mean, over the post and everything. And they always used to say about Mikey Sheehy that if it was ever in doubt, the umpire would always say, Mikey Sheehy used to kick all these frees very high over the bar. And they always used to say that why he used to do that was said because if an umpire was ever in doubt, if it was ever close, they'd always say Mikey Sheehy always scored, you know what I mean? And he'd get the benefit of it out. So I'd say the umpire was thinking the same. So he probably said Oisin couldn't miss him there, so put the flag up and hope for the best.
And so just to remark on, it was going to be a topic, the way John Hickey allowed the game to go. To give, I'm going to make this point twofold again. So there was a time where St. Mullins felt they should have a penalty, right? And then from that resumption of play, a Rangers cornerback, can't think which one it was, got absolutely clattered. He didn't blow that either. So that was a mark of consistency, in my opinion. But we also witnessed one of the greatest scorers I've ever seen in Netwatch Cullen Park because he allowed the play to keep going. Like John Nolan was blatantly fouled, ended up on his knees and put the ball over off his left. And on another day, that's blown as a free, and you don't get to see that happening. I'm going to give John serious credit for this. Now, I know St. Mullins felt a little bit aggrieved at times. We weren't in the middle of the Rangers fans. They're in the stand, obviously. And I'd say they maybe felt aggrieved, but it balanced because he was just consistent across the way. It was like, this way I'm going to effort, lads. I'm going to let it flow. And 23 points out of 24 from play for Rangers is a fair, good barometer of the type of game that was allowed to let progress. We're quick to criticise. I think we should be giving lads a bit of credit too. I thought it was great. It was like being down to Super Bowl, Stevie, and Nate Kane throwing the hurls, lads. And Nate had just thrown the hurls in half on one side, half the other, and that's the teams. And no whistle, no nothing. You could flake. There was fights. There was every sort of view. And that's kind of, there's no fights in our rest really, but that's kind of like what it was. Do you know what I mean? It was great. Like,
and it was plenty of good spirits. Even I seen at one stage there now, Mouse was chasing Michael Doyle, and Michael Doyle was heading for the stand, literally in a straight line to the stand, and like he got up against the wall. Mouse picked him up, like, and Mouse, but geez, some burst of past. He had Michael Doyle. He had a hurling beside him. He hooked him and they got a sideline over it. And at that stage, the game was, more or less up. It was 7 or 8, 9 points in it. And, whoever was in it, there was yellow cards. I'd say there was maybe 5 or 6. Basically, I said hardly as many yellow cards as frees. They were nearly in the yellow card category to get a free. But that's one thing with our frees. Like, once you know, and I know lads say, right, that by letter law, that's a free, should be a free. Every referee is different in their interpretation of the rules, as in, what you're going to blow for steps. Some lads you could go away with 6 or 7 more, 2 or 3 maybe. But it's just, it is what it is. And but if you are Sam Mullins and you're 10 points down at half time, you're going to need a couple of frees to, I wouldn't say gimmies, but lads there's questions asked of Dermot Bourne or Gary Kelly, whoever, to pull down someone or hold up the tackle as a free for Marty Cabin over the bar instead of being a goal for Marty Cabin or James Doyle or whoever it is. So, that wouldn't have helped Sam Mullins. I think probably most go with 4. Did he get
4 from play? 4 from play, I think, did he? Was it 8 in total, was it, or 4 from play?
My engraving slat is in front of me here. We have 4 frees, I think, yeah.
And 4 from play, Kev, as well, was there?
3 from play. 3 from play, 4 frees. Sorry, 5 frees. 5 frees and 3 from play.
3 from play, okay. Yeah, now we got 8 points, yeah.
So you could safely say it's the first county final ever. There was no free missed in, possibly at that way.
That's a fair point, actually.
It's the highest points total in the county final. 24 is the highest, as in points only.
Yeah, I thought last year's performance was going to be higher bet now, because last year's performance by Rangers I thought was the best that I'd seen. Now, James said the other night that he thought 2013 final was the best performance he's seen in the county final when Rangers best them ones again. But let's go back to the nitty gritty, lads, of where this game was kind of won and lost. To put it plain and simply, actually, I met Pat Mosey and Michael Keogh after the game, and I just felt no matter what St. Mullins brought yesterday, I don't think it was going to be enough. Like, there's not going to match it. And I actually said Pickett or rest probably wouldn't have matched it. They were just that good, like, in fairness. But it doesn't mean we can't go and analyse the game and pick out maybe different things as we're here to do. Like, but I suppose for anyone, we spoke a number of weeks ago on the podcast about maybe 4 guys that could play centre back for St. Mullins. So James Lyle was there at the time. We're talking about Ger Cody, we're talking about Mick Welsh, and we're talking about Paddy Keogh as possible centre backs. So yesterday, and even Friday, actually, Joe, just a little side note, like you were talking about, would Rangers look at the possibility of putting Gary Lawler out onto Conor Keogh? Conor Keogh didn't start the game, which was quite unusual. So what they did do was they brought in Oisin Boland. He was wearing 9, but he was playing as the sweeper. And for me, first of all, and it's not a bad word said about Oisin at all, but like he wasn't really in the conversation about the 4 natural centre backs that we look at. And just maybe it's just something I have in my head, but a sweeper for me and someone that protects is the most natural reader of the game. And typically that's kind of a centre back. It has been down through the years. And it wasn't one of those guys we named out, first of all. But also the positioning of where Oisin was, or where St. Mullins kind of wanted him to play. It wasn't offering much protection to the lads inside because he was a little bit in no man's land, and Rangers were able to bypass that pretty easily. Now, the only point I'd make on it, just to go back on myself slightly before I bring us in on this, is that the supply was so good from Paul Cody and Fiacre Fitzpatrick and the boys that even his positioning was better. I still think the ball might have got in because they were just pinpoint and they had time to be pinpoint as well. So I just thought it was something interesting. It didn't really look as evident on the TV, lads. I looked back at it this morning, but Steve, you were there beside me. Is it something worth picking up on, do you think?
Well, just on that before. See, the problem sometimes with playing a sweeper is, you say, right, sometimes teams aren't used to playing that system, number one, apart from the personnel, like, you know what I mean? Some certain teams set up that way. We saw how, say, go back to a county level, how, say, the likes of Waterford had a system and, you know, a designated player and so on and so on. It's very hard sometimes to implement game changes, like, you know, saying, oh, we're playing a sweeper. But in hurling, especially like with the ball moving so fast and the movement of players, you really have to know, you really have to know and know that system inside out. And the problem is, if you're playing a sweeper against Rangers, like they naturally, even if you're playing kind of, I won't say a straight 15 on 15 against them, but if you're kind of, you know, playing your normal system, they'll normally have, like Dermot will normally kind of free himself up, they'll kind of drop a man back. So now you're giving them free rein back there. I mean, they had nearly 3 extra bodies there at times. So what was happening in my eyes anyway was that, like what you said, the pinpoint ball. Why was it pinpoint? Because they had so much time and space out further. And then on the flip side as well, I thought St. Mullins, if you are playing that sweeper or those extra bodies there, I thought St. Mullins didn't work the ball far enough through the lines, and a lot of the ball you were looking, it was being struck from deep in their own half back line, and it was just being mopped up. Like what I think Stevie said, it was like Gary Kelly had a ball of his own in the first half. You know, he was on the ball every time he looked, and I just don't know whether, you mentioned personnel. I don't know whether I don't think personnel. I just don't think the system worked for them, if you get me. And I think you need to be really clear and clinical to work that system to have it been effective, you know, to be effective rather than just having an extra body back there, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they did. You're making a good point, because regardless of who was in that position, it's how they brought the ball out from defence that we need to pick up on, and that's what was a big kind of losing of the game, I suppose, too. Like, even it's interesting you said, like, at times they had time on the ball and they still lumped it. Like, I remember Gary Bennett clearing the ball with a bit of time, and maybe Oisin himself had a little bit of time, and different lads, and it seemed like Gary Kelly, and we even thought on the terrace for a few minutes that Gary Kelly was the free man. But that was actually Dermot Byrne. Gary was marking, but he picked up so much ball and had so much time to do stuff with it. Like, you know, that's where the platform came from as such. So, like, in that case, you probably do either have to go through the hands or obviously be very careful with the short passing out. You know what I mean? That's probably the way.
Well, if you've moused in on the edge of the square, you know, you want to be where they had him positioned in a lot of the first half. And the couple of balls he did get, he got a couple of scores off it. But, you know, he was starved of possession because a lot of the ball was being cut out by the Rangers half back line, or, you know, being mopped up there. So, you know, it was, I suppose, a good idea in theory that they were trying to shore it up at the back and try to hit Mouse, but they weren't hitting Mouse, you know. But the couple of balls he did get in the first half, he got a couple of scores off him, like, you know. But but like, I think ultimately what you said, I think you made a fair point. I'd say no matter what system they had in place in that first half, Rangers' tempo was just different gravy, like, you know.
There was one clearance there in the first half. Paddy Ball, an outrageous catch. I don't think they got a score off it.
Yeah.
Like, another day that ends up being pulled down a free. Like, the St. Mullins crowd didn't get a chance to get behind them, you know, get a couple of scores. 2 or 3 balls came across there, trickled out for sidelines in front of us. There were passes, you know, and I wouldn't say they might have been under pressure hitting them, but they probably had the effects of being under pressure for the 10 minutes before that, maybe, you know, that hurt, you know, the things weren't sticking, and you know, Conor Keogh didn't start, come on for 20 minutes, and I think he got a point near the end. They batted the ball over the bar, you know, and like a big step up too for young lad too, and you're coming in there, and, you know, maybe that's why you didn't start. I don't know at the top, maybe bring him with 20 minutes to go, but instead of coming in with 20 minutes to go with fresh legs, he was coming in with only 20 minutes gone.
Yeah, and I think it's worth pointing out, you know, we'll talk about supply and demand, right? So the supply was so good, but did the demand change? Like, I mean, by that I mean, did the demand change out the field to try and stop the supply, or would it demand a change inside? And with the greatest respect in the world, you know, I played in the full back line before as well, and if you're up against a lad that you fancy your chances on, and you're left with a heap of space and the ball's put in front, you're going to be under pressure naturally. But when it's Chris Nolan and John Nolan, you're definitely going to be under pressure. But, like, while the supply is the big thing there, and it was limited in the third quarter, and, you know, Rangers didn't get as much joy from Chris and John, there was 5 points apiece from play scored off Paul and Gary, And I like the two boys. So we had Gary in the podcast. It's not a bad thing again. But like, should that have maybe brought about a thought process where maybe a Michael Welch goes back who would have marked TJ Reid a couple of years ago in Leinster final and kept to a point or two, or were they right to stick to their guns?
Chris Nolan is scoring 4 or 5 points off of any cornerback is in the country in a county game, and John as well this year has upped his scoring big time, you know, and like this is John Nolan has been pushed into the full forward line now in the last couple of games. He scored 2-6 against St. I think the last round. Did he even play?
Right, so we have the stats for Chris and John later on, so I can give them to you now if you want.
No, I'm saying he's used to being out maybe playing between 10, 11, 12 and working his socks off and getting the ball in, not on the scoreboard as much as this year. Like this year just been he's probably stuck in a bit more, and he's like last week I looked at the 2017 final, the intermediate final ourselves in Rangers. I looked at last Friday just to see how many Rangers lads were still playing, or old lads or whoever, but like he got pointed that before half time. Kevin, yourself and James were commentating on it. He picked, I don't know, Jimmy Cahill, or I forget whose pocket it was. They got the ball to raise it here. They took out her hand nor the bar in a flash. And I James texted me after the match, you know, congratulating. And I said, James, look, I said one thing. I says, I'd heard a Carlow about John Nolan, but I said this is just after blowing me, you know, sideways. I said, I'd be looking forward to seeing this lad for the next 15 years. And this year he's starting to really show the you know, his true colours.
I think the answer to the question to an extent is the third quarter and maybe the fourth quarter. I think Chris scored another maybe 2 points in the second half. I don't know, did John even score in the second half? I actually can't remember now, but if he did, it's only a point. So when this play was cut out, they didn't get any more. So that maybe puts it to bed slightly.
Very hard play, like with the ball that was coming in. You look at the ball that was coming in, like it was in front of a forward, it was perfect. There was space. It was, it was just everything you wanted for a forward's ball. And the two boys, I think the two boys like are two of the best backs we have in the county. They're two very good, honest chaps. And I just think in that farm, there was no stopping the scores coming. And it's like everything. If you plug the way the first half went, if you plugged one gap, there was a gap somewhere else. Like, I mean, hitting 17 scores, hit 17, points is just incredible. And where are we going to stop them? Like, but
if they scored three more, each in the third quarter, we'll just leave the two boys on them.
Well, if they scored 3 more in the third quarter, the game was gone anyway. Like, ultimately, not being smart, but it would have, I don't know. I mean, look, you can say about. I'd always say about as well about you mentioned there. Say about was John Welch. I think there's a big difference in hurling centre back and full back marking a lad. Do you know what I'm saying? In terms of
definitely, that's a great point. Yeah.
You mentioned the Leinster semi-final. Like, you look at the job Paul Dyle did on Colin Fennelly that day. I know Colin might have snuck a goal, but it was literally.
I'm not criticising Paul and Gary. This is an
honest question. I know, but I'm saying to you, I'm being honest.
Point, like.
Yeah, no, I'm being honest as well. Like, in terms of, I don't think it's as easy switch. Switch one with the other, and I think. Look, I just think it was one of those days
it's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, but we are still here to dissect and go through the nitty-gritty. Let's give them credit now in return, not just two boys, but St. Mullins in general, because they outscored Rangers in the second half. What was it, 9-7, I think, was it?
Yeah.
The second half. They did their best hurling in the third quarter and got outscored, actually. Probably didn't hurl as well in the last quarter, and what do you call it? Rangers outscored them, I think, in the last quarter, right? No, after getting that fucking wrong. I can't count. They did their best. They did their best hurling in the third quarter and didn't outscore.
They could have won the last quarter 5-4.
They must have had if they outscored them in the second half.
Yeah. Well, probably look to say it fairly honestly, like, would the other three teams have only gone down by 8 points to that performance by Rangers? I think St. Mullins, and I contacted some of the lads there today, and just to commiserate with them, and I just said to them the fight that they brought. You take heart from that. Like, right, they lost, fine, but no St. Mullins team had ever throwing a towel or bow the head or go down, and they fought back, and did a couple of chances, and to tighten it up, and But look, they fought to the end. But look, the first half was where the damage was done, and it was just very hard. 10 points down. It was a 17-7 at half time, and It's just mentally as well. I don't think they knew they weren't playing. Mentally they knew they weren't playing well. You know what I mean? Sometimes like if you think you're, right, we're not in the game, we're down in the scoreboard, but we're not playing too bad, and we're in this sort of thing. We can pull this out of fire, but they probably knew in their heart and soul their own game wasn't where it needed to be, like, and I suppose then it's hard to lift it mentally. But in fairness, they dug in the second half, and you give them credit for that. Like, it takes something out of the defeat, like,
Yeah, there's I feel like I've been pretty hard on Gary and Paul. It was literally fair questions. Like, they're the best backs in the county, but sure, that's the way it is. But you have to ask the questions on you. But they did win the battle in the second half. I put balance on it. Like, it's just the first half I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? But like they did in the second half get the better of the battle, in my opinion. Anyway, I thought so. That's the measure of them as well. Like, if that happened to me, I'm looking to the sideline. Like, get me the fuck out of here. To be honest with you. So I think we all would, like, 5 points, 5 scores from play, unless they go on. So I'll balance it up. Sorry, lads.
Your hamstring will be gone after the third one.
That's probably would. I don't even know if I have one in the box anymore. Can't count either. Tony bangs in the head. But like that's the long and short of it. So we still have a team of the year to get through. We have player of the year to get through. And we've a bit of football to get through as well. But we also have post match. So we'll plough through the post match. We've David Phelan, Eddie Byrne, John Nolan, and Richie and Paul Cody. David Phelan, congratulations, Munster Rangers, senior champions once again. An absolutely unbelievable performance. I think 17 points from play in the first half out of 17. It was ridiculous stuff. Nothing that I've ever seen in the county final, certainly. And obviously, that laid the platform for this remarkable victory, has to be said.
Yeah, well, look, we worked on it all year, and we said, every game we wanted to improve. We started off kind of poor enough in a couple of games, and we said, we're putting 15 minutes in games, so we're kind of winning games, barely just about an end. And today we said from the start we're going to try to put a 60 minutes game ahead, and so I think we started off unbelievable and put a great base in for the game. So we couldn't really ask for more at the start. And the base of that was the forwards being our first set of backs, working from the front. The amount of hooks and blocks they got, I don't know, it made it very easy for the backs then. So it was a great start for us.
We just heard over the intercom there. I don't know if we picked it up on the microphone, but Chris Nolan got out of the match, and myself and John were just absolutely ridiculous there throughout the 16, and in particular in the first half. But you got to give great credit to everyone. It was just a super team performance, like.
Yeah, well, the two boys, sure, look at they're two of the best forwards, if not the best forwards in the county, and they showed it there today for everyone to see. Chris scores from left, right, anywhere under the stand, far, in, close. For any defender, he's a handful. But then the ball going into him, like to Paul Cody, won savage amount of breaks in the first half. Tony Lawler, Darren Byrne, all the backs, it was super. It was just a great team performance, and you couldn't really take it from anyone.
In terms of your own game, David, we knew you as a wing forward, as a midfielder. You went back centre back, and now you're back full back the last couple of years. So you've adapted fairly well. How are you liking it back there?
Taking a bit getting used to now. Last year was the first year back there, obviously. So, but look, it's the legs are getting a bit slower, obviously enough. So you kind of just as long as the team keeps asking, I keep giving. So it's going to take bit by bit every game. It's not easy. Every year is getting harder and harder. So look, we'll see how after today goes. We'll enjoy today and the next couple of weeks, whatever comes next, and we'll go from there.
So contrary to popular belief, you're not going away for next year.
I'll say nothing yet. I'll finish this year first.
That's it. And look, you're going to give Leinster a right rattle now, because we were all saying last year if there was a Leinster Championship you wouldn't have been too far away. So there we are now with a performance better than last year's one in the county final. So that gives great hope going into the Leinster Championship, which obviously now is probably 6 or 7 weeks away. So there is a gap. So it's important to try and get big games, and might not be easy actually, because other championships are still going.
Yeah, well, we were concentrating today first. Obviously last year we were very disappointed because the team that hurled last year in the county final was as good as I've seen us hurling in 2011, 2012. And today it wasn't as far off, but we can just keep reproducing it. But we'll concentrate. I don't know what even the draw is for Leinster. We haven't even thought that far ahead, so we might take it a bit easy for this week and get back then to working for the next couple of weeks and concentrate on our next game.
Listen, David, great to chat to you. Well done again, and best luck in Leinster, alright? Eddie Byrne, Munster Rangers, senior champions once again. Fantastic performance, fantastic team performance, and as we said to David Phelan, there are 17 points from play in the first half, all your scores from play, and I think 23 out of 24 might have been from play. So an outrageous kind of performance in the county final, certainly nothing like I've seen before. You've played in a good field, and I'd say that has to be up there, up the top.
Yeah, I suppose we have to be delighted with that performance. We really put St. Mullins to the sword, especially in that first half. We talked about it at half time that our third quarter has probably been our worst quarter throughout the year, and we just tried to steady the ship there, and I think we came out even in that one. And look, we finished strong again at the end, and look, it was a complete performance throughout. But we're very happy. Like, we always know what St. Mullins are going to have coming into a county final. They're going to be dogged. They'll put you to the sword any chance they get. So to put in a performance like that is absolutely delightful, and we know exactly what St. Mullins brings. So we're absolutely delighted with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in general, it was a pleasure to look at, and obviously the television cameras are down here. TG4 were doing it live. It was on RT Radio 1, so no better day to actually put on that sort of an exhibition.
Yeah, as I say, John Nolan must have knew the cameras were on him when he didn't give the ball to Chris in the first half. But yeah, look, you can't really think about those things before the match, and we talked about it's all well and good topping the group in the league part of it, but if you don't put in a performance in the semi-final and the final, then it's worth nothing to you at the end of the year, you know. And St. Mullins have done that year on year, where they haven't topped the group in the league part of it, and then they've come and blitzed you in the county final. And the big day is the big day, and you want to perform on the big day, and it doesn't matter who's here, you just want to put in a good performance. And look, we'll look back on it in years to come, and we'll be talking about this one. It's a fantastic performance, and it's probably as good, if not better, than last year's one. Like, and yeah, we're just delighted with it.
I go along with that as well, and obviously you have Leinster Championship now this year, which you didn't have last year, so you're going to give that a right blast. But I don't know, it's an awkward one, as we were saying to David, because there's going to be probably maybe 6-7 weeks of a gap. Other counties are playing their championship games. Not that you're thinking about this tonight, obviously, but it is something you probably will have to look at in a few weeks.
Yeah, of course. Like, we'll thanks, Tom. We'll have to look at it. You know, we don't want to leave it here. When there is a chance to go and do something special, you take the chance. And St. Mullins did it a couple of years ago, and we know that we can get back there too if we get a bit of momentum and a bit of hurling into us before we start back. Like, I know we have football championship coming up, but knowing the group of players that we have here, we won't shy away from that either. Like, you know, and if we have to put in a bit of extra hurling, you know, alongside the football, then so be it. We'll keep ourselves ticking over, maybe. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, listen, enjoy it, Eddie, and thanks for having a chat with us. All right.
Thanks very much.
John Nolan, I don't know if yourself and Chris were having a competition to see who get man of the match today. He's after getting it. You weren't far off it yourself. Outstanding performance from yourself and Chris, and from everyone in Rangers today. Like, the first half in particular was just absolutely awesome. And is it something you focused on beforehand, was getting that kind of performance, especially early on, and trying to put the game to bed early?
Yeah, I suppose it is, yeah. Just if you start well and keep going, like, the teams will struggle to stay with you. And in our last game against St. Mullins in the league, we started well, but we kind of died down. And today was different. We stayed going. So it was just a great day for Rangers.
I think in terms of your own performances this year, you caused me a good few headaches at minor level a few years back, but you're after bursting onto the scene, you know, county, club, and for me this year you've added like multiple scores to your game. Last year you're providing a good bit, picking off 2 or 3, but now you're putting up 2 6s and 5s and this kind of crack. So you're after bursting on and progressing, and I'm sure you're delighted with yourself.
Oh yeah, I'm happy with the year, yeah. But sure, look, it's down to all the other players. Like, I'm inside and they're feeding me a good ball, and it's down to them. Couldn't score that much without them pucking it in, and the good ball that they're hitting in. So it's down to them, hard work of them.
Actually, there's something I want to know, right? So in the first half there was a goal scoring opportunity, right? And Chris was giving you the Hulk Hogan. He was giving the crowd the Hulk Hogan. I think he was giving the TG4 cameras the Hulk Hogan as well. He was disgusted with you. I don't know what he actually said to you. Maybe you'll tell us.
No, I won't repeat it. No, I won't. I should have given it though. Should have given it.
In fairness, I will say one thing. A couple of minutes after that, you knocked over a pint, like, so it didn't hurt you and upset you too much, whatever he said anyway.
No, I was in one ear and out the other. I've been used to it the whole way up, so in one ear and out the other.
It's not going to change, especially in county final day. John, thanks a million. And Paul Cody and Richie Cody, Munster Rangers champions once again. Lads, you must be delighted.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, absolutely. I suppose at the full time whistle, it's relief. Tomorrow morning I'll be delighted, but yeah, just now I'm just relieved and happy that it's coming back home again. That's the first feeling, definitely.
Richie, you're only back, a week or 2. You were telling me you're kind of like John Terry going around in terms of getting back and jumping onto the field and getting trophies, but in fairness now, John Terry didn't actually play that game we're talking about, and you did play the last 2, so it must be great to be back. You timed it well, and champions once again.
Timed it well, yeah. Couple of minutes there, but sure, look, it doesn't matter. As long as the boys done the job now, I was happy enough, you know. So yeah, only back like a week or a week and a half maybe that. So I haven't the whole lot done, but just it was great to step onto the pitch. It's great to be back doing a little bit with the boys, and look, they were outstanding there, 1 to 15. I couldn't fault any of them, like, so I was happy enough sitting on the sideline watching them pawn a masterclass there. So yeah, delighted.
In fairness, you've been involved in near enough every senior championship final Rangers have been in, bar maybe 03 and 01, I would say. That has to be the best one you've ever seen. terms of performance levels, like.
Oh yeah, exactly. Definitely up there. Sure, like that first half, that first 30 minutes was outstanding. So it was a joy to stand up there in the stand, look and just look down at the lads performing. Like everything was so sharp, so quick. Like scored 17 points from play, like in the first half, outstanding. Like and probably left a couple of goals behind us as well. But yeah, definitely overall performance. Like it's definitely it is the best. It is the best, and there's only one or two more. Like there's, I think in 13, I think we put together a fairly good performance that day as well. But yeah, definitely today was up there with the best anyway. Yeah.
Oh, we're saying the whole time on the podcast that like Rangers are putting together unbelievable quarters, like in terms of the first one against them ones in the round robin section, right? But it was a half today, and that was nearly enough. And even in the third quarter, when it looked like St. Mullins were getting to grips with it, you still won that 5-4 thing. So, I mean, was there kind of an emphasis on trying to knock it up another gear? Because we always felt there was a gear in you, and I think you produced it today. Most importantly, when it mattered, like.
I can listen back to your podcast now. I don't like listening to them during the week when I have a match that weekend, so I didn't listen to any of them. But yeah, so as I said there earlier, like the league, the round campaign is a round campaign, the nice way possible. It matters fuck all. Like you just need to qualify for a semi-final, and then I think we took it up a notch last week, performance-wise, and then we took it up a notch again today. There's a time to peak, and it's not the first round of championship. We had to deal with the football at the start, and we hadn't hurled, and we said we got together the first match, and we said, look, in 5 weeks' time, there's a county semi-final. Let's start coming and go towards that. We've done a lot of running during the weeks of those 5 weeks. We were a bit heavy-legged during some of those round campaigns, but so what? No good winning those round campaigns and not performing today. So I think like you can never dominate a match for 60 minutes. St. Mullins were always going to come with a purple patch, and we put so much into the first half that there was always going to be a bit of tiredness. But we had 4 or 5 subs to come on, and we kept them at arm's length and just kept that scoreboard going second half once we had that lead built up.
After talking to Phelan and to Feathers there as well, right, and we're kind of remarking on, obviously you won't be thinking about this tonight and tomorrow, but a Leinster Championship, because like there's going to be 6-7 weeks at least, I'd say, before there's that, and other counties are playing their championship. That's going to provide a little bit of a headache. So, Conor and the boys will have a plan for it, like, but you're hoping to get this up right rattle. There was no championship last year, and we were always saying that you wouldn't have been far away from winning it, like, but that's a performance that's after trumping it, and the only headache you will have is that gap, I'd say.
Yeah, it is a tricky one. Look, and the management team, I'm sure they're well experienced enough, and they'll sit down and they'll come up with some sort of a plan. Like we'll obviously have the football championship now to play as well, and kind of. But look, I don't mind winning today. Was the first goal. It was the main goal. It's a good headache to have, and look, we're just delighted. Like you said, there was no Leinster Championship last year. The year before, we didn't win the county final, so. Yeah, it's great to be back in Leinster Championship, and honestly, I can't wait to get going in it again. There's something special about Leinster Championship, the All Ireland Series. Not that the county championship isn't great as well, but there's just something special about that. And look, hopefully we can produce something similar today in the first match. And look, we'll take from there. I'm not sure who we have in it. To be honest, I didn't look that far ahead today. It was all about Carlow at the minute. So look, we'll sit down, we'll play the football championship, and we'll have to keep some sort of hurling going, I think, for those 2 weeks. But yeah, we'll worry about that when it comes along.
There you have it, lads. So that's Richard Cody, Paul Cody, John Nolan, Eddie Byrne, and David Phelan. So any last thoughts before we move on? All good? All right. You're saving the argument for the next thing we're moving on to. So it is Team of the Year. Headache Central. I feel like we should be brand ambassadors for Panadol or Nurofen or something with these jokes. But anyway, we've reached some bit of a verdict anyway. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the keeper, the six backs, midfielders, half forwards, full forwards separately, we'll say. And we'll move through the lines after we're talking about the different lines, as the fella said. So Brian Tracy is in the goal, lads. For me, Dean Grennan, did Dean Grennan concede a goal in the championship?
2
goals in the championship. That's serious going, right? Now, the only thing is, this reminds me of a James McGarry situation when Kilkenny were so good. Like, the defence was so solid in front. Wasn't massive things to be doing. But Brian was like Fitzhenry in around that same era, like so busy and played so well. Puckouts were good, So for long range freeze. So for me, that's why he's there. Have you anything to add to that?
No.
It was probably, like, with all due respect, the other keepers are good, but for us, I think that was an easy enough one. He's just such a good keeper. So full back line: Ross Smithers, David Phelan, and Michael Doyle is what you went with there. So I suppose, Joe, you've remarked that Ross has marked all of the big ones, I suppose, from the various clubs and has done quite well. So it's good to see him in there.
And became a leader kind of that Michael team, which was brilliant to see him really stepping up. I won't say stepping up, but like becoming a leader. His performances other years have been excellent, but really becoming a real leader in that team.
And he was over the intermediate side as well, in fairness to him. So, such a good club, man. And the other corner, Michael Dial, again, a no-brainer. People were getting in touch thinking that he should have been among our nominations for Hurler of the Year as well. Sorry, Michael. But he was very good. Hardly put a foot wrong. At fullback, look, we'll be straight about it. Like, we were thinking a little bit about this one. For me, what kind of stood out in my mind was there's a little bit of kind of, I suppose, talk that can people exploit David Phelan because the legs aren't quite what they used to be and he's in a new position. And for all that talk, while there was a bit of protection in front, he has never been exploited. He hadn't been exploited this year to any great extent. So for me, that was enough to justify him playing at full back. And again, even yesterday when Seamus Murphy came in, the 30% ones was to keep lumping and he kept baiting it out. And that was a good adaptation. Because even in that group stage fixture when Seamus came on, he might got a couple of points off actually, if I remember correctly. So that's why I felt David Phelan. Now, you try in your tuppence worth here because you had other suggestions for it as well.
Yeah, I thought Micheál Ryan did fairly well from Ballygill's point of view, full back. Just at full back, I know we kind of Ross might have played full back actually for Michael. We took a little liberty there. He didn't play much in the corner, but we just felt he was worth his place and merit there. But probably as a full back head to head, I thought Paul Daly had a good game. Which game was it? Two very good games actually. But probably David Michael, and he was solid against those and that as well. Like so, no, probably on merit, like just on that position. In fairness to David Phelan, like we said, he's done enough to get over the line.
All right, Stevie, happy before I go on to the next line?
Driver on.
Right, okay. A half back line then. So we've Ger Cody, Alfie Corcoran, and Cian Doyle. I don't see anything wrong with that at all, to be honest with you. Keano stepped in fullback for one of those games that Darren Nolan was missing in. Was that the Rangers game actually? Could have been the Rangers game Darren Nolan was suspended for. And did very well at fullback too, but solid all through. Good on Mouse in the semi-final. Just solid all year, no matter where he was been playing. Alfie, just a ridiculous hurler. We said it. What can you say about Alfie that hasn't been said already? But there's a pillar for the club again. I think of that inspirational score actually against yourselves, Joe, and that really lifted Bindlestown on the day. You know what I mean? It was a massive score to get. And even again, Rangers, when Bindlestown struggled, like he came out with an awful lot of ball, even though Eddie Byrne did get a couple of points. So that's why he's there. Ger Cody, again, solid, dependable, and justifiable. So where was the other headaches actually across the half back line?
Probably the three Rangers lads were very solid. You couldn't. They were excellent throughout as well, weren't they? Like in fairness, that Rangers half back line. We talked about the effectiveness of Dermot. It's nearly when we talked about in earlier rounds about Kevin MacDonald at wing forward. You're kind of expecting excellence, and when excellence is delivered, you're just kind of so used to it that it becomes the norm. But those were excellent as well. I suppose we picked we picked those other lads for maybe their performances maybe under more pressure or at particular times or just a different level of consistency. But the three Rangers lads were excellent. Yeah, they were an excellent line for their team, giving them a great platform to build off of.
Paddy O'Shea played hit 2 points just in the county final from wing back. I know he wasn't in the reckoning as such, but a young lad, 19, 20 years of age, things were going against you. Got 2 chances, got 2 points and all. It'll stand home in time as well.
Yeah, he was decent all year as well, in fairness. And this is not a dig at Paddy O'Shea or whatever, but as a general remark, we were talking about this, we started talking about it, we're nearly a whole day talking about trying to pick it or whatever. I did say to the lads, think back to round 1 as well, because I do feel often with All-Stars and maybe Sunday game teams of the year, lads have a fierce tendency to go on semi-finals and finals because obviously they're the most recent games. So we did scour the whole championship, and the mind was boggling for a lot of it, and we did a lot of information searching as well, and stats and this, that, and the other. So we have based it on the entire championship, just to be perfectly transparent about that. Midfield, then we'll move on. That's Paul Cody and Fiacre Fitzpatrick. Fiacre's first year playing senior hurling, like he was intermediate at the start of the year, played again East Davy, but he was intermediate last year in that semi-final again Ye2, and his development this year has been very noteworthy. Excellent yesterday. 3 points to play? I think maybe 2 or 3 points to play, and throughout the championship has been very, very effective. 1-1, Joe, against yourselves, I think.
Yeah, Ted kind of a wing forward role that night, but was dropping back.
Yeah.
I think both himself and Paul Cody are part of the reason as well, maybe why some of the Rangers half back line were, I won't say excluded or whatever, but I thought Paul Cody yesterday was immense back covering back there as well, and I just thought so effective last year. Paul had a great year as well at club level last year as well, and Fiacre was so dynamic as well. Picked off, like, that was a key goal against us. Took it under pressure, like a young lad, first kind of year stepping up to senior championship and a tight game. He buried it as well, so it was a good sign of him. But there's a few other contenders there. Denny Joe Regan, I thought, a good year for Michael, I thought, in around there. Beanie Doyle had his moments as well. Thought he had a good campaign. Mark Foley had a very good game for us in around the middle there as well, in a game or two as well.
Niall Hickey was a bad fuse,
Niall Hickey, a lot of contenders. Paddy Keogh hurled a bit of hurling out there around the middle as well for Sam Mullins, so there's a lot of quality around there. But we just thought the two Rangers boys pipped it for their kind of consistency and team play, I suppose.
All right, so half forward line: Craig Doyle, Eddie Byrne, Kevin McDonald. Do you want to pick us up on that? I have a point to make on this one, but you go on first.
Yeah, so Craig Doyle, first game out against Michael, what to get a 2-2 or 2-3 from playing 6 or 7 frees. That set Bangor Gales up for the year. A win in the game. It was a rematch of their last game last year in the round robin part. He very good against Ballinkillen as well. And look, he was got an ankle injury there. He was probably, wouldn't say 100% fit in the semi-final. Like, that goal that didn't raise the green flag could have changed the whole thing in the first minute. Eddie Byrne, back from injury, serious loss with the county earlier on this year, was ultra consistent in all the games. Like, and he doesn't get near enough credit because man 6'3" or that, like, his skill that wouldn't often be associated with a man of his size. And sure, wanted to get just 3 or 4 points. He's chalking up that in any game at 2 or 3 scores. Kevin McDonald, like, look, Kevin's biggest problem is you don't know where to put him in a team. He's that versatile anywhere, literally anywhere. But anywhere between 5 and 12 is probably the best place we could land in full forward either and do a job. That's that was probably the handiest line in the field, probably the full forward line. Doesn't look like there's too much to lay on it either.
Kevin went back wing back yesterday too. Richie Kelly came off, Kevin went back wing back, and Ted Joyce came in that time. Very good. So I'm going to reveal the full forward line before I give my little headache. So the full forward line is Mouse Kavanagh, Chris Nolan, and John Nolan. Sure, look, what can you say? I mean, Mouse in particular came back from a horrific injury, and every game he has contributed very well. And then Chris and John, sure. Again, what can you say? Like, they're just excellent this year. And we'll come on to that a little bit later because Chris, John, and Eddie Byrne were nominated for Hurler of the Year, so we'll talk about lads maybe a little bit more. But the one argument I had, lads, was, I felt Andrew Kane was very hard done by there. It kind of was a bit of a toss-up between Andrew Kane and Craig Doyle. I got outvoted on this on 2-1, I might as well be honest. I just felt in every game, like, he contributed so well. So he come off, did he get 1-2 and he come off the bench against Michael? And just always looked a threat. One of the games, Joe, I think I was beside you, was against Rangers, and he had a couple of wides, but again, he looked dangerous. He was getting on the ball and he was trying to make things happen. Styler wasn't playing that day. Scored probably the point of the championship the last time out, so probably a little bit hard done by, I feel. And if I was putting him in my team, what I was saying to you boys was he was going in corner forward at 13 and Mouse coming out onto the wing, and Styler was losing out, but it literally was a flip of a coin. I think he can make a justifiable case for either of those.
I think if Dennis Murphy comes into the equation there as well, he got 3 or 4 points in play yesterday, but the link play he does as well, because that mightn't be the lad to be putting it over the bar, but his fingerprints are all over it as well, like, you know, at some stage.
Yeah. I think Mouse. Sorry, no, just people. You might be wondering, say, like Mouse coming back in late in the championship, but we just felt his impact in every game, like hitting the penalty. You know, even the Michael game, coming in, catching the last ball, laying it off for the side and score. Yesterday, picking up 3 points, hitting his frees. You know, and you could see yesterday. Look, he wasn't at full tilt. I think everyone saw that. Like, you know, he wasn't where he would have liked to have been, but still contributed that. So I suppose that was our thinking on that. Like, when he did come back, he made vital contributions in all these games. So, but I think the others. I think a lot of them forwards, like you said, Andrew Kane, he did a great campaign. You know, thinking of other teams like theirs, say Adam Kenny had a decent run of things. You know, from a Michael point of view, I think hit 1-8 or 1-8 in a game or 1-9 or whatever. You know, so different. Look, there's always going to be different players you're going to consider, and it's maybe as I say, a 20-man panel we should have been picking really, but sure, we can only pick 15. So
did you say James Smithers there as well? I don't know if you did or not.
James Smithers, I said James Smithers, for his work rate, industry, you know, and was excellent all year as well for them. Sorry, I forgot him. Yeah.
Is there anyone like? I mean, the reason why there's no intermediate, like most of them are second teams, so you can't really put someone off a second team in ahead of someone on their first team who's obviously hurling at a higher level. But just say from an every point of view, Steve, like, is there anyone that you feel that would have matched those displays even at senior level? Like, what I saw from O'Toole the other day was outrageous, but I haven't seen all the games this year. So is there anyone maybe hard done by from your own point of view that you'd like to include?
Yeah, but sure, look, you might be saying our name in the games as well, or Mandy Mullany. That's, you know, sure, like, but like, that's at intermediate level. We have to call that as it is, and that's, you know, we're looking at the standard yesterday then as well. So look,
I was surely in the shape of
you'll be a panel. You'll be wearing number 24, not on the official program.
Hey, I brought Mount Leinster Rangers intermediate team spirit when they saw me scoring a point against them. That was it. That's how we knew that intermediate championship, lad. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Hey, here's one we haven't prepared for actually, lads. Who was your sub of the year?
Didn't see it in the nationalist.
Like, who's your sub of the year that's come on and
be in next week?
The most contributions. For me, Jake Doyle came on. You're going with Dwayne Kavanagh, right? Okay, yeah. Stevie. Stevie's thinking.
It's probably the most recent, you know, and that's what we're not supposed to be going on about. He scored 4 points in the semi-final. Yeah, we'll go with Dwayne Kavanagh. Give him number 16 there.
I'm outvoted again. I'm getting bullied by these boys there. It's not even funny. We should bring in another guest. At least we had.
Hey, get used to it.
I couldn't hear you. The line went. Who did you say?
Get used to getting bullied. Isn't that right, Stevie? He's only a few days.
Who did you say, Kevin?
Jake Doyle. Like every game he's come on.
He changed my mind. I'll go on.
He scored what? 3
or 4
he
hasn't fairness now for you.
Like he actually started. Sorry, it makes it kind of a little bit redundant, but he started against Rangers, didn't he? And scored 3 or 4 points as well, and come on the last day and scored a point and unlucky with a goal chance. Anyway, we'll move on. So, any last thoughts on the hurling before we go to the football?
No, may I do our hurler of the year as well?
Oh Jesus, sure, that'd be handy, wouldn't it? I was forgetting about it altogether. Right, so yeah, the 3 nominees, lads. We had Eddie Byrne, John Nolan, and Chris Nolan. We put it out to a Twitter poll, not to decide, but just to get a feel for what lads were thinking. But like, funnily enough, like Chris Nolan got 60% of the vote, lads, and he's not our choice.
This is like a Russian election.
I don't know. Are we going to be called? Is it fascist or communist? Or
your podcast, you decide.
Those terms. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, look, I was thrown under the bus last week, so I might getting the scabs back on my knee there at a minute. So throw me back in under there again.
Right.
Well, now in fairness, we have to qualify this.
Yeah.
We nominated probably each of the 3 lads came from different viewpoints. Like we nominated 3 different lads, didn't we? In fairness, when we were discussing ourselves, and I think they all had big cases. I think you can go through the stats there, Kev. It'd be a good indication.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, with Chris Nolan, he scored 26 points and 22 of those were from play. Like 3 against Michael, 4 St. Mullins, 3 in total against Ballinkillen, 6 against Bynderstown, 3 against Michael in the semi-final, and then 7 obviously yesterday. John Nolan has scored 316. Interestingly, actually, in the 2 games against Michael, both the group game and the semi-final, John didn't score. But in the others, like 2-6 against St. Mullins, he only got a point against Ballinkillen, 1-4 against Bynderstown, and 5 points obviously yesterday. Now, Eddie Byrne, he contributed 2-14, 1-1 against Michael, a point against St. Mullins, 1-3 against Ballinkillen, 3 points against Bynderstown, 2 points in the semi-final against Michael, and 4 points there yesterday. And like all that total is from play as well. So, like, let's just reveal it. We've gone with Eddie Byrne. And the reason for that is it's not just coming down to score and tallies. It's his ability to win tough, hard ball, to bring lads into the game, and his contributions on the scoreboard, which has kind of given him the left wing back hurler of the year for 2021. I think that's pretty much it, lads. Have you anything to add to that?
Plus, you're probably saying that the two Nolans are arguing over now. If Johnny gave Chris that ball, Monument would have won it.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. But like, I mean, I think Eddie Byrne could have had his best season ever in a Rangers jersey, and he's had a few good ones down through the years. You know,
he was so consistent, and I think really as a leader. I know we've talked about him, like he's in, you know, he was a real leader. I mean, I can't remember what game, Kev, we were down close on the pitch, and you know, you could hear him being so vocal. Like, I know there's a lot of leaders in that pitch, but he was a real vocal leader. You know, was so consistent. Like, we know other years he'd have absolutely some brilliant games, and then maybe not another ones. But like, even for which game was it? He's up one, if not two of the goals. Which game was it? He got.
I think that was. Do you remember the St. Mullins game as well, Steve? You were beside me for that in the group game. I think he could have been involved in John Nolan's goal, and was he involved in both John Nolan's goals? Actually, you know, he's at the centre and heartbeat of everything. You know.
Yeah, and so if he's carrying the ball forward, he's both big, athletic, and very skillful, and that's a fair unit coming at you when you have to decide you're going to him and you're leaving John Nolan or Chris Nolan inside or Dennis Murphy, and you know, and unsung then often at times, but like, he scores. What do you get? What's that?
2-14,
like, you know, and scored in every game. And you know,
I thought his performance against us now was big, Stevie. The Ballinkillen game, in a game where they were going poor, and he clipped over a couple of points, and then had the balls to bury the goal chance. You know, an opportunist goal chance that probably ultimately swung the game as well. So
there you go. So well done to Eddie Byrne, the 2021 left wing back hurler of the year. Yeah, been a great championship as well. You know, you've remarked on it, Joe, and well done to everyone involved and our officials as well. At times there were few and far between. We remember at the start when different lads had to go in and do linesman and stuff for senior championships. We actually there's a little pub question for years to come. What inter-county hurler did officiate at a senior championship game and played in the same championship later on? Like mouse, like, you know. So football, let's move on to the football, and what we'll do afterwards, even though this has been done live, I'll chop this yoke in half and put out 2 audio podcasts, I think, because it's going on a little bit, and there's a lot of lads, let's be honest, in Carlow, they couldn't give a shit about hurling, they just don't follow it, and a lot of lads involved in hurling Carlow don't give a shit about football. So I'll be fair to the audiences, and we'll chop her up later on afterwards.
Kev, just one thing before we go on. Have the draws been made? I'm trying to actually look them up here as we speak. Have the draws for Leinster Club, just for looking forward? Because Paddy will be going.
The Rangers don't even know what it is.
No, I don't think it's major. Just wondering.
No,
you don't know, Stevie?
No, I haven't heard nothing. No, I haven't looked. Same as the Leinster Rangers boy said the other day. I hadn't looked any further than I hadn't that. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So look, we'll keep an eye on it. As soon as we know, we'll throw it out there. So football, lads, it's there's so many local derbies. I'm nearly forgetting about this, like, you know. But it's great. Just one last comment. It is the formats that we spoke about before are brilliant. The hurling is done with now until Leinster Championships, and now it's football. And if that rotates next year, I'd like to see that happen anyway. And Joe, you backed it up by saying that it benefit the likes of Palatine and stuff. Hopefully it does rotate next year, because to be fair to the teams competing in the Leinster Championship as well, I think it's only right and just, as the fella said. So the football championships kick off on Friday, and we start off with a nice tasty little local derby. See, look at Neighboury after winning intermediate championship, going to play senior, and now the boys are going to knock the shite out of each other. All Auckland versus Ballyrana, 6:45 on Friday in Netwatch Cullen Park. So, like, from the outset, lads, I'm just going to put it out in terms of a verdict. Like, I think Air Og are going to win this championship again. Anyway. Are we all in agreement that you think Air Og are going to win before we go into verdicts? Yeah.
Yep.
Or go into weekend verdicts. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. They're 1-3 in the bookies, but like you expect to have a panel. They're going to be. They'll probably take a few. The thing with the hurling there, I suppose, seeing themselves, like, I've never seen anything like the amount of injuries you get. Like injuries, hamstrings, and York, so that it'd be interesting to see the likes of Bagneson now, where a lot of young lads have played a lot of hurling there last 6, 7, 8 weeks. Like Jack McCall, all these boys. A lot of Keane Doyle, these lads are going to be asked a lot now in the next 6 or 7 weeks. And football is going to take more of because it's going to be more close contact. That's where you need a panel of 20-25. You're going to use 20 nearly any day now if it's a football match, I'd say, within reason. And it's going to, it's in the lap of the gods to see a lot of the games, I'd say, this weekend, because you don't know what lads have done, especially over in here, O'Loughlin, Ballinarana. I've seen what the boys have been playing hurling. I know who they are, and they've been training football as well. In fairness, Loughlin Bridge as well. They're playing Ballin in the junior on Sunday evening. So there's a lot of unknowns. I wouldn't say you wouldn't be surprised if there's a shock of the weekend. No, what shock is going to be, I don't know, because if you ask us to predict the matches here now, who's definitely going to win the match.
Ask you to do that.
Yeah, you probably might say Air Og and the Blues should win that.
Yeah, but who wins the championship first then? Yeah, so
Air Og.
Right, grand.
We'll go to
the individual ones. Sorry, just a comment in. Eddie Byrne has got in touch. I take it that's Eddie Senior now, and no draws, as you can see there. Was a 5th of October. Draws been made. First round, 20th of November. Thanks, Eddie, for that. So that answers that question. Well, yeah, weekend verdict. So O'Loughlin versus Ballinarana. Stevie, who's winning that one?
I hope O'Loughlin haven't a clue. Ballinarana are going to be that have a bit of momentum after winning the intermediate. That has to stand a lot to them now. Being honest, I don't know what way either have been going really, other than So I'm hoping O'Loughlin, but Ballinarana will have momentum coming up after winning the intermediate.
Yeah, I think your own relation might be a big loss there for O'Loughlin if he's not. In terms of football,
I will be. Yeah, Savage lost in hurling as well. Like the winner without him, I thought was fair
going. Yeah, so he could be a leveler, as I said. That'll be a close one. Yeah, it's probably maybe just shaded. O'Loughlin might just shade that one. I give.
I'm going to go Ballinarana on this one. I think Ballinarana might just about, because it was tight. Was it 2 years ago? Remember, was there a point in it a couple of years ago? Yeah.
Yeah, Ballinarana were coming at us, just. We got to finish it. We'll discuss it at the wedding on Thursday anyway, more detail.
Right.
in between the fights.
Oh, Jenny Max. So Bagneson have a bye, which the junior hurlers were delighted with, obviously. Also in terms of, I'm only going to kind of look for verdicts on junior A, intermediate, and senior lads. I don't know enough about junior B and junior C, and sure, I wouldn't know who's there and what's going on. But in the junior B championship, an 8 o'clock start in the training centre on Friday, and it's Fenna up against Calavon Donegal. The other senior game on Friday in Netwatch Cullen Park is at 8:15. Air Og versus the Blues, and look, you're fancying Air Og here. Simple as that. Stevie, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's always nice to see what the Blues are like, because they could have last year again, Pal in the semi-final. They had decent footballers, probably if they have a bit more training behind them now, maybe. You never know, but look, it's Air Og any given day, we're thinking.
Okay, right. So let's slash on to Saturday and the Intermediate Football Championship, 4 o'clock in Air Og's grounds, I think it is actually. It's Navan up against Clonmore. Another bruiser. And the one after it is a bruiser as well, actually, which we'll come to in a moment. But I'm going to go with Navan. Joe?
I'm going to go with Navan, yeah.
Stevie?
Yeah, I'll go with Navan. Clonmore improving. I've seen it over in Loughlin there in a practice match, but maybe Navan, a bit more sharpness and playing actual hurling might stand to them.
All right, so 4:45 then in Netwatch Cullen Park, the Fighting Cocks and Kilbride. Now you know what I'm talking about. Like, I mean, they're all bruisers. I'm going to go Kilbride.
I'm going to go Kilbride as well. I think maybe. I think this could be a relegation 6-pointer, as I say. It'll be whoever wins. Will be glad of the win, as I said. So.
And Stevie,
I'll go with the Fighting Cocks. Just to be awkward.
Good man, wouldn't be like it. Junior B Championship on Saturday at 5:30. The Blues are home to Bangerstown Gales, and at 6 o'clock, Aska are at home to Navan. Back to the Senior Football Championship. So 6:30, all local derbies. 6:30 now at Cullen Park. Tinryland versus Palatine. Tinryland have Stephen O'Mara over them this year, which is actually quite interesting. He was with Turlow for the short period of time last year before Turlow decided to pack it in or whatever. And I believe they're actually going all right out there. You just don't know Tinryland. They're obviously an enigma. We've known that for years. I'm going to go with Tinryland in this one, actually.
I'm going to join you.
Stevie?
I'll put the Mockers in Tinryland in as well, yeah.
All right, okay. I thought that would be a divisive one. Sunday, Intermediate Championship again, 12 o'clock, McGrath Park, St. Patrick's at Tullow versus Fenna. Now, this is where it gets tasty. Tullow coming up on a high. Fenna with the potential to move on to senior in the next couple of years. I don't know how things are rolling out there, but I believe there's a few lads not playing. So on that basis, I'm going with Tullow.
I'd have to stick with my own. I go with a narrow Fenna victory, but I think it'll be close.
Steve?
Well, I'll go with Fenna, but a bit like the Ballarana one, Tullow could have a bit of momentum. Nick Keoghan out pulling the strings there. Don't be surprised, but just give Fenna the slightest nod.
All right, so then at 2 o'clock now at Cullen Park, Killavin-Donegal versus Éire Óg. So this is an interesting one, lads. Killavin-Donegal have a stellar cast in terms of management team. It's funny, right? So we can talk about it now, but when I had Turlow on to do the 2020 reviews that were obviously played this year, I knew that he was going to have another Killavin-Donegal. Nothing was said or whatever. I was hoping to stay on as a pundit as well, as one of our rotating guests, which we're planning over the next number of weeks. But no, it's not. It's obviously not going to happen. You understand why. So Danny Ledger is manager of Killavin-Donegal. Turlow is obviously there with him. I think Poacher was even down there a few weeks ago. So it's like an old band getting back together. So that's an interesting little dynamic in that particular one. You'd probably fancy them against Éire Óg's second team, which is also very strong, let's be honest about it, always has been. But I'm going Killavin-Donegal.
Yeah, I go Killavin-Donegal, and a small thing could get Killavin over the line at the end of that campaign.
All right.
Joe? That could be, them boys going to freshen it up a bit.
Yeah, I'd say just about, but I wouldn't be surprised if Éire Óg turn them over. Éire Óg might be a bit fresher. Depends how Killavin-Donegal come back mentally from the long season last year and then the defeat in the final. It'll depend how they come back, but maybe Daniel St. Ledger and the change of management might give them that little bit of freshen up that they need. So maybe tip them up, yeah.
Obviously, it's worth noting as well that with Daniel not playing, that's a big loss. And Killian Redmond is obviously making waves with London Irish at the moment.
Yeah.
Hopefully that works out for him. But that's two big lads that they won't have playing. One of them is obviously still involved. But so yeah, that's that one. 3:45 then, Monaghan Rangers versus Rathvilly. I'm going Rathvilly in this one. It's boys are obviously drinking the bag over there, so I don't know if they'll be in too much of a state to turn over Rathvilly on Sunday. Stranger things have happened, but yeah, Rathvilly for me. Rathvilly all round, I take it. Okay, so Junior A Championship then.
Rough Rathvilly, yeah.
Grand job. Junior A Championship Sunday. These are all Sunday evening, actually. Group 1, 6 o'clock. It's O'Loughlin. And I like this, actually. Home advantage in these games. Home and away kind of a thing. O'Loughlin home to Grange. I'm going with Grange here. And then the other one is Éire Óg and Pal. That's at 6 o'clock in Éire Óg's grounds. So, yeah, I'm going with Grange and Éire Óg and those lads. What are you going?
Grange and Pal.
All right, Steve.
All right, Grange and Pal.
Popular man up in O'Loughlin for that one. Then the other group in Junior A, it's Ballin at home to Loughlin Bridge. And I'm going to make me say popular now as well, aren't they? And Rathvilly, that's at 6 o'clock actually, that one. And then at 7 o'clock, Rathvilly and Tinryland. Jesus, Ballin are a tough prospect. We've had some battles of Ballin down through the years. I swear to God, in my time playing with Loughlin Bridge, it always seemed to be we met Ballin nearly every year. Not talking about league games, obviously, you always play each other, but championship, we always seem to bump into them. And yeah, they were tough games. We used to knock the shit out of each other. But I remember one year, I think it was 2014, was it a semi-final or quarter-final of a junior championship? We went to a replay, it was blown to 11, the best be a point. But David Wilson and a couple of them came down to minis that evening, actually, unprompted, So even though we'd bet each other, like, they were down. So there's a hard rivalry, but it's all forgotten about afterwards. Oh, I just think maybe home advantage will give it to Ballin on that one. Sorry, lads, out Loughlin. And then with the other one, Tinryland, I think, will beat Rathvilly. Yeah, where are you seeing that?
I'll go with Loughlin. I'll back your own if you're not backing him.
Right. Steve?
Yeah, and I'll go with Loughlin as well. Now, there's half a Loughlin man. Well, Matt Dunnigan is married to Hughie Gann's sister. He's over Ballin. So, it'll be interesting to see how Matt gets on. He was selected with Loughlin there last year, if not last couple of years. So, that'll be interesting. I was talking to Skippy Callan there and Jerry Cabinet tonight about. So, we'll give Loughlin the nod. Like, you're going to the unknown here as well. So are they, So.
And do you have Tinryland beating Rathvilly in the other one? Yeah, just to finish up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, grand. I'm just going through the fixtures then with the other games. Okay, sorry. I thought you were not as well. I have the screen open, you see, and I'm jumping across back to the screen that we're looking at and everyone can see and the PDF document. Sorry, was it Rathvilly or Tinryland, Steve?
I go with Rathvilly.
Right, grand. Okay, so I'll get verdicts for intermediate and junior A, but I'm just going to go through the other fixture. So on Monday then, junior B championship, it's 7:30. Ballyrana home against the Rangers, and then the granddaddy of them all, the Junior C Football Championship, is on Wednesday. Tullow are at home to Ballin at 7:30. Same time, Pal are at home to Tinryland. And in the other group, it's Clonmore at home to the Fighting Cocks, and St. Mullins are at home to Loughlin Bridge. Imagine, I don't know if Gary Phelan playing junior football this year, but imagine him going up against Mouse. Oh, Jenny Mac. But anyway, look, so can I just get an outright winner for me for maybe the intermediate and the junior
A? Intermediate, I got Kildare, Clonegall, and junior A, Grange.
I'm going to go with the same actually on that one, just for like that's where the head was anyway. So let's just put it out there. You're a different one, Joe.
No, I'd probably stick with them, yeah.
Right, Jesus, that's the handiest thing I think we ever had to figure out. So, yeah, look, that's where it's at. We've given 2 hours. I just want to publicly thank the two of you lads, because for the last 6 weeks you've been on, you know what I mean, and you've given me a great dig out with this. That WhatsApp group is literally hopping 24/7. It'll probably stay hopping anyway. Joe, I don't know if you've committed to the football championship. Stevie's going to kind of jump in and out over the duration of it. But if it's the case you are saying que sera, thanks for everything, and same to you, Steve. Much appreciated. It's been good fun over the last 6 weeks, in fairness.
Stevie sounds like he's a dishwasher empty or something there, Stevie.
Come on, let's have the chores done. I mean, this is a reward for me.
I know, it's a pleasure, Kev, and just publicly want to wish yourself and your future wife well, Niamh, on Thursday. I hope you have a great day, and fair play to you. If you put as much time and effort into your marriage and your life ahead of you, you'll be in great shape, lad. And so fair play to you, and just wish you well.
Yeah, thanks a million, lads. Really
I thought you were going to say if he puts so much time and effort into his marriage, the podcast is bad.
Yeah, in fact. Hey, and come here, and don't use John Terry as a role model. That's all I'm saying to you when you mentioned him in an interview.
Oh, Jenny Mac. So look, on that note, lads, we'll say a thank you to Corker Precast. Thanks. There's the website up on the screen, Corker Precast. Thanks.ie. And until Friday, they are offering 10%, as you said, off all wastewater treatment systems. And to avail of that, you simply mention the left wing back when you're getting in touch with the sales team out there. So thanks to Owen, Val, call them all, lads. Really appreciate it. It's nice to see people seeing a bit of value in what you're doing as well, and that's very much appreciated, I have to say. So thanks from the bottom of my heart for all that. Don't forget, you can get in touch with us, as you said, on social media. We're obviously live, or have been live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're also on Instagram there as well. Give us a follow at the Left Wing Back, or if you want to get in touch with us, you can also email us at leftwingbackpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, and you'll instantly be notified of when we're on and when the podcasts are up on Spotify and Apple. That's where we leave it. John Owen and Steve Bamrick, thanks a million.
Thanks, Kev.
Thanks,